All right, here we go. I believe we are live. Welcome everybody to another
Whoa!
Break the Rules stream. I am Left Polyakov, LeftPo on Twitter, and Noah Hugbox is going to be joining us real soon. I guarantee you, don't you worry about a thing. But
Don't
right
worry
now,
about it. He's going to beat away the different rodents that are attacking his Ethernet connection. He just has to get the proper bat to beat them. They're huge, but
he
don't worry.
requires some carrier pigeons to help him out,
Yes,
because the
yes.
birds, they eat the rodents. So,
Yeah, but then we're gonna have to get another animal to get rid of the carrier pigeons. Then we're gonna have to get eventually we'll get to the elephant. Then we're gonna have to bring the mice back in. I read that book when I was a kid. Anyways, about kid. Sorry, I'm not gonna because we're not talking about kid stuff exactly. But White Boy Summer is upon us. So grab yourself a Black Queen. Of course, I am a POC myself, but I am an honorary white boy. So I have a Black Queen in mind. I hope she is listening to the stream right now. Shout out to my good friend. Anyways, so White Boy Summer. No, we're talking about it is White Boy Summer, but it is the White Boy Summer game, or figures or whatever it is.
It's a
I'm
tabletop
not
game.
educated.
That works.
Is it
Yeah.
a game though, Remus?
Yeah, technically it is a game.
But people
it is
pay
a
figures of
tabletop
it.
game. Yeah, so
It's
like
a tabletop game.
Yeah.
But it's not for soy Reddit nerds. We're talking about
It can be.
Lev. What are we
So
talking
we'll
about?
get to that.
we are talking about the hammer and
Hammer
the war.
War.
Yes.
Warhammer
40,000
40K.
boys.
That's what we're talking about.
Yes, Warhammer 40k. And again, for those who are just tuning in right now, Noah Hugbox is going to be joining us. He is just, he's not here yet, but he's coming. I guarantee you he is coming. Anyway, when it comes to this game, I have no knowledge about it whatsoever. Remus, luckily for us, Remus over here, for those who don't know, the great Remus is joining us, and he has been taking a lot of notes. He has been doing a lot of preparations for this very moment because Remus has been playing this for, I don't know, how long have you been playing this for?
Well, yeah, I was first exposed to this as like a young kid. Like, I mean, I was probably 8 or 9 or something like that. But actually, like, engaging in it, probably since I was like over a decade at the very least. At the very least, yeah, I've been in the hobby for a while. And to varying degrees. I mean, I feel like everyone who gets into this kind of thing does it to a certain degree. As Jules has said, it is rather expensive. That's true, because you are paying quite a bit of money for what is essentially amounts to a plastic figure, and then you are then paying for paint to then paint that plastic figure yourself, and then you are then paying potentially, if you want, for art supplies to then create, scenery and stuff like that for your cool plastic figures that you have painted to then use.
My God. It's like model trains.
You don't have to do this stuff, right? Exactly. It is like model trains.
I was into that for a little bit.
No, I think people may not be aware that this exists, but there is a whole world of tabletop wargaming, right? Just like how like D&D exists, right? There's a whole world of tabletop RPGs. Yeah, Risk, right? Risk is like the baby version, right? So it's unironically, right? So you have like, D&D is the one person example of this, right? You're making a character, it's all paper, everybody is imagining everything, right? This is essentially the equivalent of that, except there are visuals to help you understand, because at the end of the day, it's wargaming. It's designed around tactical warfare on large scale, simulated through rules, right? Like D&D is essentially simulated adventuring through the use of the D&D systems, rules and dice rolls, right? So I think this was created, I think, at the end of the 70s, but it might have been the early 80s. And it's very much in keeping with sort of like, Heavy Metal, that movie.
Oh yeah. Boy.
Yeah, heavy, right.
Oh boy.
So very much in keeping
Watched
with
that when I was like 12 years old.
That aesthetic. That's kind of the aesthetic of Warhammer 40,000, which is like completely over the top, ridiculous, super like John like Frazetta painting style, like insanity, right? Like that's what it's built on. It's built on essentially these people were like, yo, what if we looked at World War One, right, and like turned it up to 1 million and put it in the future, right? So you can do World War One times 1 billion, right? On 1 million planets, World War One happening, right? So it's like, okay, this is a setting that provides basically endless models for us. They started out, I think, in Warhammer Fantasy, so they started out with the fantasy setting. Your classic orcs and elves and human, empires and all of that stuff, and they expanded into the sci-fi because that's what people were getting into. The early stuff and is actually really really rich. I'm not going to get too much into I'm not going to get super in the weeds about pretty much anything because I realize that that's just a great way to waste time. But
we'll be here
it
for
is
5 hours.
Seriously.
Sorry.
Well, you know what's a good way?
Hours.
What's a good way not to waste time? By subscribing to Break the Rules. You saw that tweet over there. I guarantee Noah is coming, but meanwhile, subscribe to Break the Rules right fucking now. We are not messing around. Watch our stream with Noah, by the way. I'm gonna link to it. It's a great stream, and also it was a great stream, and also I'm gonna be doing I'm going to be doing an art stream where I'm going to be painting this crypto, this NFT that I am working on right now with this pyramid guy after this stream. So I'm going to link to that as well. But anyway, when you say that they're...
your NFTs actually tie in. I'm going to get to that, actually.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Interestingly. Yeah.
Maybe we should go for just the general overview, the overarching story of the Warhammer universe.
Well, first I am just gonna briefly explain Games Workshop, because this is the most important aspect of this, because ultimately this is a product, right? This is still a consumer product. We're still consuming here. Let's be real. Okay, let's be real. Let's not pretend.
But it's based consumerism.
Yeah, it's based consumerism.
The corporations agree with me this time.
It's that, right? No. So this is kind of like.
But this came out of like the 80s, like OG nerd
it kind of
culture,
feels like
the renaissance of the tabletop game, right?
It kind of feels like Morrowind, in that Morrowind is a video game made by Bethesda, and it's a consumer product. But Morrowind is really the fever dream of a man who went on a crazy LSD bender and created the lore that was the lore for the Elder Scrolls Morrowind, and that's why that game is as good as it is, because that dude went ham and created something incredible that requires a ridiculous amount of time to really understand. But once you do, it's extremely rich, right? It's the same type of thing. These people looked at society, looked at the way in which it was, human history, all of that, and kind of tried to synthesize it and capture it in a funny and ridiculous way, right? It's self-parodizing, less so nowadays, but it is what it is. So Games Workshop is a British company, first and foremost. This is a British IP. It comes out of I think they started rather small, and the models weren't really anything super special in terms of quality. They were kind of ugly, but it still, it worked. It was just different and interesting. Obviously this stuff has an appeal because Lord of the Rings is Lord of the Rings, and if you don't know this, World of Warcraft is literally it's basically a ripoff. Like Warcraft was originally supposed to be a Warhammer game. That Blizzard were working. Yeah, Blizzard were working with Games Workshop to make this game, and the relationship fell through because Games Workshop are notoriously difficult to work with, and they just created Warcraft. And StarCraft is the same thing, but for Warhammer 40,000. It's just that it was earlier in development.
Wow.
That is why the Zerg are literally the Tyranids. The Protoss are basically the Eldar. They just made, instead of being elves, they're like weird tentacle people. And the Terrans, if you look at a Terran, Marine, he is literally just a Space Marine. Like they even just kept them blue because they didn't understand that Space Marines can be something other than blue, which is hilarious.
Well, I was gonna ask, is it like the British? Like now, it's like the British Empire is like, Giga Chad Ubermenches that are going and destroying and killing alien races. Is that basically
that is
wow.
unironically the one sentence summation of what the Imperium of Man is. I'm gonna basically
Muted. Before you start on the Imperium of Man, by the way, we have a $5 donation from AI Russian Bot 69. Love you guys, man. Just discovered BTR in the past month, and all your past streams is all I have been listening to. Holy shit!
You.
Holy shit!
Thank
you so much.
I have a good authority that Vladimir Putler listens to this stream personally. We may get him on the show, but
more like Vladimir.
People don't want him on here.
More like Vladimir Poofter, if you know what I mean.
Oh no! Don't.
Okay. So
I feel like my based Eurasianism is clouding out, or balancing out Lev's sort of knee-jerk hatred of the Russian government.
To be honest, Putin is the best example of a human being on Earth right now that would
is like a Warhammer character.
The closest thing to the God Emperor of Man. Not a joke.
Oh.
And it's not because he's a good. It's not because it's not morally, and it's not because he's a good person. It's because of the grandeur. It's because of the sense of scale, and it's because clearly Vladimir Putin has a long vision. He is not thinking about. He is thinking about now in ways in which he can enrich himself, but he is clearly thinking about the long game in terms of how his empire, even though he may not call it, nobody may call it that. How his empire is going to function for the future, right? Obviously, it will probably fall apart because that's how usually these things work. Even in this story, in which the
I doubt it. By the way, I just want to say, as a Russian dissident, I disagree. I doubt he's thinking about the. I'm not gonna get into it now. No, this is your. I'm not gonna.
But basically, but is it true that
I don't think it's in a way that is good for the people of Russia? That's not what I mean. I mean, he's just thinking long game. He's thinking long game for himself, but he's.
I'll just add one quick thing, and I'm going to shut up about this. My one quick thing is that I think that he may be thinking. I think that he may be thinking a lot more about like, how am I going to, pay this person and that person for my daughters, whatever. There's like all kinds of. They say more money, more problems. That's
yes,
pretty much
the emperor has
right
many
now.
concerns as well.
But
that's what I mean.
But is it true though? But that's the thing. The God Emperor. Is it true that I was watching a few months ago the Morgoth? We should have Morgoth reviews on Lev. Morgoth reviews had a Warhammer video.
Yes, I watched that. I take great issue with many of the things that he was saying. Mostly that's because he's myopic. He's speaking from the perspective of somebody who is seeing the beginning of something very, very, it's like watching 5 minutes of a tanker go by and expecting that you understand where it's going and where it came from. He had a good analysis for what he saw, but he doesn't have the long understanding to understand the things that he didn't get about it. Like the reason why the emperor does the things that he does is interesting. It's just that it's obfuscated for a very, very long time. And it's rather annoying as a fan personally to wait so long to find such small slivers of information constantly being drip fed to you. But that's how it works, right? They're trying to sell books.
But is it true what he said that the God Emperor represents in some ways like a celestial theocracy in almost like a divine, like a Cesaro-Papist sort of model of like the king is the same as a religious leader?
That is, okay. So there are two phases of the empire that need to be addressed. But yes, the late stage, the one that is the subject of the game, is the setting, Warhammer 40,000, the year, the 41st millennium, right? The emperor is worshipped as a god. Okay. By the vast majority of the populace. Like I'm talking 99% of the trillions of people. It is the imperial creed. There is no other religion. There is no other allowance of a religion. This is hyper fascism in a way that you don't even really understand. Like, for example, okay, so let's get into it. Okay, so I'm just going to go over the history of Earth real quick. Okay, because the history of the galaxy at large is larger than this, but humanity plays a big part. We're just late stage. We're late to the game, right? We're the new kid on the block in a way. There's another new kid, but we'll get to him. It sucks. He's kind of a nerd. so this thing starts with in basically Sumerian time. Okay, the city of Ur was the big city of the time. It's the first, right? The emperor was born in Anatolia. So technically,
wow.
Okay, so he's not a Turk. He's pre-Turk.
Well, if we're talking about Anatolia, by the way, Anatolia is the side of Mount Ararat, which is supposedly
Mount
the place
Ararat is important.
Yeah.
It's the place where he united. That's actually the spot of the final battle before the Emperor fully united Earth. It was Mount Ararat.
Wow. There is one other thing, though, about Mount Ararat, just to kind of tie this into our human history as well. Because if we go along with the whole Noah's Ark thing, then that would be the site where Noah's Ark supposedly landed, and where humans, like the survivors...
That was one... There were a few people that were kind of like biblical literalists that had like expeditions there. Like, you know, Discovery Channel type of stuff. But, sorry, History Channel type of stuff. But yeah, Mount Ararat is certainly significant.
And to him as well, and in the story. Like, all of the things that are significant to humans and to mankind and to you and me are significant in this story because it's our story. That's the point. It's about us fully, right? So, okay, so he has this, he's born a psychic. This is the one big thing that makes him different from everybody else. He is born basically the most powerful psychic who's ever lived.
So he's almost like a demigod in some ways.
Immediately. Upon his conception, like at birth, right? So he, as a child, his father is murdered. Okay, his father dies, and no one knows who did it and what happened. Right, as murders go in pre-Paleolithic society, it's difficult to solve, right? But being who he is, this is how his powers awaken. He touches the corpse of his father, and he touches the wound, and all of a sudden he is transported to the moment where his father is killed, and he sees what happens, right? Not even through his father's eyes. Imagine it like a dream where you're watching.
You're disembodied, yeah.
Yes, he can see in this way, okay? So he sees that the person who killed his father was his uncle, right? His uncle stabbed his father, and in that moment of understanding and watching, he realizes people cannot be trusted. Is the first lesson. Even my kin will kill me, potentially. This is the lesson that he learned from his father's murder.
This is like typical Stone Cold DTA, don't trust anybody sort of deal.
Yeah. So he's like, no one can really, truly be trusted to not betray you in that way, right? And two, as a result, this means that they must be led.
So in some ways...
And that is the end of the conversation. He doesn't have there is no other debate with him. You're not going to convince him of this. He learned the truth to him in that moment, right? From there, he's also what's called, and this is kind of weird, he's also what's called a perpetual. These are a strange thing that were made up. Kind of like, this is like a retcon. This is Games Workshop trying to make things make sense more. Okay, so the Emperor is also what's called a perpetual, which means he doesn't die. He's immortal. There are other perpetuals. There are very few, but he's a perpetual who's also like this insanely powerful psychic. He's like the chosen one. He's essentially like Nietzsche's wet dream. He's the Uberman. Okay, he spends his life watching humanity, dealing with the fact that he's this. Person who never dies. He gets close to people, they die. He sort of develops this callousness towards human beings because he's seen so many of them expire over his life.
I'm tired of these people. I've grown weary of their lives, the tangle of their lives.
Yes, but the difference between the Emperor and Dr. Manhattan is that the Emperor didn't black pill. Okay, that is his actual ultimate power. He doesn't black pill. He's literally dead. Okay, he is in a state of undeath right now. That is his current, even though he's being worshipped as a god, and he's still not black pilling. Okay, you need to understand this. Like, actively, it's an active will-based decision to not black pill at every moment. Okay?
So in some ways, it's like he's charging forth. I think it was Dream Radio that said it's similar to Isis and Set. Yeah, it's kind of, but in a way, he's charging forth through the nihilism of this terminally undead existence and seeing humanity's foibles. And he's saying, well, people need to be led. It's up to me to create.
And I'm going to do it.
and
because
to
you
go
motherfuckers
beyond
can't
good
be
and evil
trusted.
to create his own morality, where he is the God Emperor, and he is going to create the
Aye.
the futurist sort of
Yes. But
space marine imperial society.
yes.
Oh, I like
Here's
this
the
comment, by the
important.
way, from Ivan. He says, leave white dudes alone and they come up with space fash on steroids.
Yeah, on steroids. Yeah, you're not ready. It's barely even begun. I haven't even explained his methods yet. Okay.
But is there a dimension of like his birth being at the foot of Ararat? There's sort of like a holy mountain dimension similar
he is literally the savior. Like the reason that he is worshipped. I'm gonna get to all of this, but it's not gonna take too long because I realize that I can't. But the emperor's life and the imperium itself is very important, right? So he lives a very long life, right? Humanity's time goes, thousands and thousands of years pass. We go past our present day into the future. There is a technological golden age, literally called the golden age of technology, where humanity leaves the throne world and we go and we populate the galaxy, and it's all kind of crazy fucking technology that they don't even describe because it's supposed to be like an ascendancy, almost like demigod like existence. Okay, we made it. Okay,
like transhumanism, but not like as incorporeal.
No, this is luxury space communism. Okay, this is what's happening. This is the stage. Okay, then due to an event that I will explain later, everything goes to shit. Because this is how humanity gets through. This is how we overcome the faster than light barrier, okay? Something I have not explained, but we will go into in depth in this stream, is the warp, okay? The warp is essentially our word for this, right? That we use on BTR weekly would be the astral plane, the dream realm, the place where Lev sees the light. Okay, but unironically, okay, it's the womb that's holding that darkness that allows you to even have that experience, right?
The Bardo state.
Yes. So in Warhammer 40,000, this place is not nice. Okay, it's not benevolent. It's not your friend. It is not in any way really. It is almost entirely malevolent and predatory. Okay, but the people don't know this until experiential. Experience teaches them this, right? It's through experience that they learn. But it is a realm that can be used to sort of cheat time space. Okay, you can tear into it using science, right? Through using the magic of science, you can tear through it, use it as almost like a passage, like a wormhole, to go another place in the galaxy. It takes much less time. It's dangerous because you could lose the ship in the warp. It gets broken apart by the warp. Almost acts like an ocean, okay, with tides and like waves.
It's like brimming with eldritch horror, sort of like demons or remnants of previous civilizations.
Yes, and it's alive. It's alive. It's sentient. It's sentient.
Is another word for the immaterium? This is the
the immaterium. Yes, that is the immaterium. It's a great image of it. So imagine this in constant motion, and not only that, but it knows you're looking at it. It's looking at you. And it's also the whole time subtly trying to fuck with you. It's trying to scare you, make you feel uncomfortable, fuck with you utterly. Now, the people who initially dealt with the warp didn't think about it as a spiritual thing because they were probably more secular, right? They're science guys. But they're like, this is kind of weird. It's at least dangerous, so we have to deal with that, right? They developed something called Geller technology, which creates a bubble around your ship that allows you to move through the warp. The warp
like a force field.
Wait,
yes,
did you say Geller? Like Yuri Geller?
Geller, like Geller.
Yeah,
like
Yuri Geller.
Yeah, that's the last name of
Well, he
Yuri
was pretty
Geller.
popular at the time.
AR. Geller.
Okay.
Yeah, Geller field. Okay, so the I don't know where the name comes from. It doesn't really matter. The Geller field stops the warp from getting in and essentially forces reality. That's the best way to describe it. Because the warp is unreality. It's potential, not actuality. So it can deconstruct
it's the virtual
anything.
Plane that's like adjacent to.
Yes. So this warp was used as essentially a highway by humanity for many years, and then something really crazy goes down in the warp, and it causes it to essentially be like an extremely turbulent sea for a very long period of time. Okay, this is called the Old Night. Okay, this is thousands of years before even the heresy. This is a time where man loses contact with itself for 10,000 years. So all of the disparate, imagine if the British Empire collapsed midway through. So all of a sudden nobody can talk to each other anymore. And it stays that way, and they can't go anywhere for a really, really long time. So all of a sudden all those cultures crystallize. Right?
Oh, so it's like those colonial officers that made themselves gods to lovely African ladies or something like that. And they have like some kind of interbreeding program where they like have this imperial, like what the Portuguese did in Angola. They have like this like half caste of like mixed,
like White Boy Summer, but
it's like White Boy, but like imperial White Boy Summer,
humanity Boy Summer, right?
But all over the galaxy, I'm assuming it's like
it's galactic.
No Man's Sky type of like this is a planet you go to.
Galactic. It's galactic.
Oh shit!
But now,
so do you get to mate with Xenu women?
Yeah, you can. But
Xenu women.
But the Xenos, you can meet with Xenos, but that's very, very much not allowed. We'll get there. The emperor's policies on these things. Okay, so Old Night is important, all right?
Galactic White Boy Summer.
It creates a galactic like siege. You cannot leave. Okay, so all of these cultures of these thousands, millions of different human colonies that go across the galaxy, they either die or they're assimilated into the culture of.
I'm imagining a lot of space platoons were probably killed by hostile aliens, were they not?
Yes, for sure, because there's crazy shit all over the galaxy, right? So this all happens, right? So this time of being cut off and fear and loss of cultural unity, all of that becomes the backdrop by which the Emperor rises. Now you may be wondering, okay, this is the whole galaxy. What's happening on Earth, right? So Earth is going through what's called the Age of Strife as a direct result of the Old Night. So because we can no longer talk to anyone outside, and something important to note is that psychics exist, right? The Emperor exists, right? But the way in which psychic works is that they're talking to and feeding through the warp. The warp works through them. That's the energy that the psychic is manipulating, is warp energy, right? So when the warp goes crazy, it fucks them up real bad. They get torqued up. It gives them seizures. They go insane. It's like it's Lovecraftian, right? It's an eldritch overload where your eyes are bleeding and the whole 9 year. Oh no, I'm Italian, right? Like how
it's like Mother Horse Eyes, where it like slices you up inside. If you've ever known that like Reddit lore.
Yes, it's like exactly like that. Okay, so this is the way of the warp. It's something that is dangerous, and it causes all of these problems, right? So Age of Strife happens because the warp is acting up more psychics are being born, and they're more powerful. Okay, Earth as a result ends up going into what are essentially global, thermonuclear war, all kinds of crazy shit. Earth gets fucked. The Age of Strife for a reason. It's war. It's bad shit. Oceans of blood.
So it's no longer like glorious, like I don't know, like glorious bread tube space communism.
Yes, space communism has utterly failed because the ability for space communism to perpetuate itself across the universe has stopped, and the ability to transport all of the imagine the administrative like monster that would be required for that kind of galactic empire, right? Once that can no longer talk to itself, it falls apart, right?
It very much is kind of like the British Empire, like the amount of logistics required to like this is why they lost many colonialists over the years.
This is why I said the British part is so important, because that's central to this, right?
And then that creates mythology because like it's like the Roman Ninth Legion. It's like a lost battalion just disappears.
We even have that, son. We even have that. Wow. All the things that you think of about history are in this. Okay. Wow. So Emperor returns to Earth. He was on a jaunt across the universe doing some stuff, swelling. He went to a planet called Moloch. Interesting. They chose that on purpose because on this planet is a warp portal. You can go into the warp here. Okay. Powerful psychics can maintain their their body and soul within the warp. The Emperor is one of these. He goes into the warp and he does some shit. And he comes back out super on steroids, okay? Super on steroids. Like the most steroids ever. Okay? He goes in, he hasn't even started GoMad, okay? And he comes out like Ronnie Coleman, okay? For the
Oh shit!
Yeah, he comes out Ronnie Coleman.
So like
everyone-
Virgin to Giga Chad and like
he is,
yeah.
but he was no. It's Giga Chad to beyond transcendental, beyond all possibility. Chad, like this is a man who you literally cannot behold him. You can't look at him without him dimming his light, or you will die. He is too much for you to experience without him directly psychically controlling the way in which you perceive him.
It's like
That's
how angels
powerful
have to like lower their abilities when they're in presence of humans.
Exactly. Okay, so the Emperor comes back to Earth and he's like, yo, what the fuck? You fucked this up so bad. You guys, you destroyed the ocean. The ocean has been turned to steam. There's no more oceans. What the fuck happened? What the fuck did you do? Yeah, the Earth is fucked. And all of it's because you people just were obsessed with gaining power. So here's what I'm going to do, you fucking stupid bastards. It's time. That's the end. It's my time now. You guys got your chance. It's over, son. So the Emperor decides, okay, I'm a fucking super genius and I'm a mega chad. What am I going to do? Am I going to rely on these puny humans? They're sick, and I do be loving them, but at the same time, they can't be fighting like how I'm going to need them to fight. So what am I going to do? I'm going to create an army of Giga Chads. So that's what he does. He uses his gene, his knowledge, right? Everything that he's been gaining over this time period. He does have many allies, but I'm not going to get into them. Lunar gene tech people, that kind of stuff. There's lots of stuff going on in the solar system. But he creates a genetically modified group of super soldiers called the Thunder Warriors. He uses the Thunder Warriors to take Earth. He does this in extremely bloody fashion.
So he takes Earth from like the space communist soy boys, like the Vouch people.
No,
he
it's
just
more
fucking
like
takes him.
Imagine Earth is more in the state of imagine like Mad Max, but it's the whole world, and also there's psychics that are powerful enough to like do things like they create whole areas that are
like little fiefdoms almost.
Yes, that's exactly what he does. He's breaking up like a balkanization of the Earth due to that is bolstered by psychic. Imagine psychic Genghis Khan warlords. Like that's who he's dealing with. Kind
of like how Saladin united all of the tribes to go fight the Crusaders.
Or the Khan. Yes.
Yeah, he had to conquer them first, and then
he is the ultimate warlord more than anything. Okay, he unites Earth at the head, not at the back, at the head of a army of Giga Chads, okay? And then because he realized that these Giga Chads were a little bit too unstable, they were a little bit too ready to rip your face off, he goes, you know what? I'm just gonna call all these guys because I can't control this. And we're gonna make more controllable versions of them. This is the alpha. We're gonna do the real 1.0 launch. So he makes the Space Marines, that's the picture that I use. These are the new and improved, the new hotness Giga Chad. Okay.
So he has to like liquidate the SA to create the SS. As Bob Trotter said, it sounds anti-Semitic already.
It's kind of like the Rangers, like the Rangers of the West, right? Those like they were basically the most savage people ever. Put into a unit and made to go do it. That's what the Thunder Warriors were like, right?
Whoa.
So he gets rid of the Thunder Warriors because they're a problem and they're just it's a potential other issue, right? So the Space Marines are created as a direct result of the most important part of this, which is the Primarch project. This is his son. Okay, he realizes, okay, I've done Earth. Earth is good. I have control of Earth. I have control of the moon, and I have control of Mars. Mars is important because they're the nerds. They're actually the nerds. They create the tech. Okay, they're literally called the Mechanicus. They're like tech priests. They worship the machine. Okay, so he forms a Earth and Mars have their alliance. We're good. We have our manufacturing base. I know what my warriors are going to be. We are about to go out on what I'm going to call the Great Crusade, which is we are going to retake the galaxy and rebring all of the human populations back into the fold and establish a permanent human galactic empire. Okay? Now, here are his stipulations. First, it is secular. We're not doing religion. He's like, religion's a problem. I'll explain that later. But religion's a problem. We're not doing that. Second, I run this. And none of you have a problem with that because I'm the best. So clearly I should be running this.
To quote Tony Soprano, with Richie Aprile, you guys can quote the rules. Here's one: I'm the motherfucking one who calls the shots.
Exactly. So the Primarchs, okay, these are 20 sons. He creates them out of his own genetic material.
Oh wow!
And warp infusion. So they are beings that are both spiritual and material beings. Okay? As he is. Yes, there is his panoply of sons.
So isn't this basically just like Cronus and his he probably doesn't kill his children, but like is this like the same kind of?
It's very Greek.
The Titans were created.
Very much yes. He is very much Prometheus. We're gonna get into that. Okay, we're gonna get into that. So the sons, he creates 20. You'll notice that there are only 18 there. 2 of them are our 9th Legion, Lost Legions. It's literally, it's Games Workshop sort of like allowing for homebrews. They're like, we're not going to tell you what happened to those 2 legions, and we're going to make it a mystery in the universe that nobody talks about. And the only characters that know
Roman 9th Legion, pretty much. Yeah.
The only characters that know what happened to those sons, so those Primarchs and their legions, won't say even in their thoughts.
Whoa.
Okay, they won't talk about it. They won't even think about it. It's like a great shame, clearly, that nobody discusses. And that's saying something considering the rest of them are discussed, and they literally caused the greatest civil war in the history of mankind and killed more people than literally anyone else ever. Okay.
Whoa.
So yeah, so those 2 are just gone. Nobody knows what happened, and that's for you. You can make up whatever you want it to be. That's the fun, right? But the rest are important. Okay. So he makes them in giant okay, this is one of the most base parts about the Emperor, is that he takes over the Himalayas and he builds his palace essentially on the entirety of the Himalayan mountain range.
Oh my god!
And the outer palace, like the sort of giant mega city that's created as a direct result of the palace being there, right? As sort of like a runoff. That outer palace is basically China.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So you can see the palace, and no matter where you are on the Earth, you know where the palace is because you can see it shining. Essentially, it's like a star. It's always there, right? So that he molds everything to his will. He is truly that Nietzsche and Uber mentioned that way. He's dude. They're planing over mountains, man. They're cutting them like flat, like a like a road. You know what I mean? So to just make it easier to access the palace, right? That kind of thing. Geoengineering is easy. Well, it's something that can be done, right? Definitely. So he makes these sons. He creates them. He has them in their little pods. They're numbered, literally, because he's not the greatest dad. He's not the most sentimental. He has them by number. And then some big, shenanigans happen, and the gods in the warp that we will discuss whisk them off across the galaxy and scatter them from their father. Okay, this might sound like devastating news, right? His generals, the things that he created specifically for this purpose, are gone. What does he do? He goes, whatever. I'll just make the Space Marines out of their genetic material, which is what I was going to do anyway. They're made out of them. They're essentially their sons, right? He starts his crusade anyway. He's like, oh, I can lead it. Right? We'll just find them. I know they're not dead because he's psychic. He knows they're not dead, so he can find them, right? So the crusade begins. They make their way out, and the first Primarch that is found, the first son that is found, is named Horus. Okay. Yes,
Interesting.
Horus. Yes, Horus is the first sun. Horus is the most important of the suns as well. Horus was the only Primarch that he had for the first 30 years. That's Horus in his worst state. That's Horus as the arch traitor. That's Horus um, as a monster. Lev, I'm gonna send in the chat. I'm gonna send a picture that is Horus when he's still a nice guy. I'm showing you the 3 stages of Horus, actually. Um,
Yes,
he
Horus
is
in better times. And once again, we are still waiting on Noah Hugbox. He is coming. So everybody, for those who came here from Noah Hugbox, Noah is coming. Be
no, we're
patient.
talking
But
about
I'm really
him,
enjoying
the
this, though. I
Emperor,
just want to say.
right? Yeah. Okay. So this is Horus. This is Horus. All right.
Whoa.
Now,
Well,
yeah,
these are the 3 stages.
the 3 stages of Horus. Now, for me, I'm an Imperium fanboy and I'm a Space Marine fanboy specifically because that was my first army. That's what I played. So these guys matter to me a lot in archetypal means, right? Like you see the left side. This is a man who he is charisma and personified. All of the Emperor's sons take an aspect of him. Okay, that's part of what he's doing. It's almost like he's diversifying his power set with his sons. He has all of their abilities, but each one of them takes something of his. And Horus's ability is to bring men to his side. He's like a Japanese anime shonen protagonist with the talk no jutsu, where he can create allies out of he's just the most like this guy. Everyone loves him. That's Horus's thing. Everyone loves Horus. He's also he actually deserves the love. He's that good of a dude. He understands how to make himself look. He's humble while still being a demigod. And it's not like the kind of thing where you can ignore. Like this person is 9 feet tall. You understand? These are not normal people. So for him to make a human feel comfortable is an incredible feat. Like this is not easy to do, right? And that's who Horus was. He was the best, right? He was the best of them, which is why Chaos took him, because he was also mildly corrupt. He's proud. He has that need to prove himself, and that's why Chaos could corrupt him in that way, and that's why he was the best choice, because he was the one who could unite the enemy against the father, right? So the rest of the Primarchs are found in short order. It takes about 60 years, I'd say, to find all of them. I will now list them by name, okay, and by sort of title to give you a little bit of a feel for the flair, and also to let you know what kind of a gangster the Emperor is to make his sons like this, okay? So I'm going to go by number, not by finding. So Horus would be the first found, but he's not literally number one. Number one is the Lion. His name is Lion L. Johnson. He crash landed on a planet called I can't remember the name of his fucking planet now. Something with a C. But it doesn't matter because they blew it up. The Lion is interesting. He is essentially a knight. He is a chivalric knight. Yeah, there he is. Look at him. He's pretty. He's got the nice long blonde hair. He's cool. He's very sneaky though, and very secretive. He will remind you very much of the Knights Templar. Okay, he is a secretive, secret society type knight. He's a master swordsman, master fighter, but he's very he doesn't betray a lot. In fact, his other brothers don't really like him because he seems arrogant. He doesn't really talk to them. He's kind of autistic. He basically grew up in a forest. He's kind of like Tarzan. And he was found, and then he went into society and was fine after that. But yeah, he's a weird guy, and he's very much a lone wolf. So that's the Lion. Number 2 was Expunge. He's one of the Expunge ones, so we don't know who he is. Number 3 would be Fulgrim, Fulgrim. Fulgrim is the pretty boy. He's the Phoenician. He is the one who is most striving towards perfection. He wishes to be an artist. He's basically the almost like the bohemian. Like he's very much like he likes the finer things in life. He's very good at what he does, and he's a good man in the early part, but he he has that flaw. He's vain. Okay, yeah, he's vain. Next, number 4 is Perturabo. Perturabo is P-E-R. Wait, I think it's P-E-R-T-E-R-U-B-O. Perturabo. Or T-U-R-A-B-O. Perturabo. No one cares about Perturabo, and that's his problem. He's the siege master. They call him the Lord of Iron, and his whole thing is that nobody gives a shit. The Emperor kind of ignores him, no matter. He's super okay. He's the ignored genius. He's amazing at what he does. He's an amazing engineer, artist. He can do basically everything. He can create beautiful buildings.
He's like the middle child syndrome.
Yes, he's literally that. He is everyone who is making amazing things and no one is paying attention to, and the resentment that comes with that. The sense of arrogance that is formed out of somebody who feels that they are the best, but nobody recognizes it, and then creates a complex out of it. Right. So that's Perturabo's thing. He hates one of the other brothers for being basically the version of him that everybody likes, and he's kind of an asshole, but he's very good at what he does, and he does become a traitor. Okay. The next is the 5th, and he's the Khan, Jagatai Khan. Okay. This man is basically Giga Genghis Khan. Okay. His planet is called Chogoris. That's what he comes from. Chogoris is basically Mongolia, but a whole planet. Okay. And it operates as such. There are steppe peoples, steppe tribes. There he is. What a beautiful man. Jagatai, the Khan, man, the Warhawk. Okay. This guy is the most base, probably, in my opinion. He enjoys what he does the most. He just likes being free. He loves the freedom of how it feels to essentially ride into battle. There's a freeness given to you when you have let everything else go, and you're just the tip. You're just the blade of your sword. Whistling through the wind, waiting to catch your enemy. I mean, that's.
He looks like the 70s white guy actor that played Genghis Khan in the one movie. Was it the 70s, the 80s? It was like that kind of like whitewashing.
That's because that's exactly what he is.
He also kind of looks like if he was weaker looking and older, he'd look a bit like Ming the Merciless from Flash Gordon.
Yeah.
If he had like that, the mustache.
Yeah, no, he has a bit of the Fu Manchu. He's awesome though. The Khan is an interesting character. He's probably the Primarch that's the hardest to explain, personality-wise. He's just very. His whole thing is being enigmatic and like difficult to pin down. He's mercurial. He's like the wind.
I really like, by the way, Dream Radio's advice. You should give the chapter names with each of these guys. I completely agree that it's great advice. And also I like Regan Lodge's comment, Planet Ulaanbaatar, LOL.
Ulaanbaatar? Wait.
That's the capital of Mongolia.
Oh yeah. That's that would be it. It would be that essentially, or the real, full on, like they're literally basically Mongolians, like the whole yurt culture, that everything about it. Okay, I'll go back to the beginning to go quickly give legion names. Okay, so the Lion, the Knight, this first man, his legion is called the Dark Angels. Okay, their heraldry is black. They wear black armor. With usually it's wings, with a sword centered. That's what their emblem on the pauldron. The second is Nobody, Fulgrim's Legion. The third, they are the Emperor's Children. The Emperor's Children are uniquely the only legion that was allowed to wear the Aquila, the double-headed eagle on their armor. They were the only legion that had that honor. So that's a unique aspect of all the early designs. They're the only. You see the golden eagle on the chest.
Mm-hmm.
They're the only ones allowed to wear that. It's special for them. That's their cool guy thing. The Perturabo, the 4th, they are the Iron Warriors. Not the most interesting name for not the most interesting legion. Their thing is literally that they are boring, and that they hate the fact that they are boring and resent the fact that they are boring. That is their entire story. I love them. They're hilarious. But like that's Everyone just hates them. That's the joke. Nobody cares about the Iron Warriors, and that's what
Is
they're
this
mad
them?
about.
Is this the Iron Warriors?
Yeah, they have the safety. The safety. You see the black and
Yeah.
black and yellow on the shoulder.
Mhm.
That's Iron Warriors heraldry.
Mhm.
That's how you know it's them. They're going to be gray with that on them somewhere. Okay. The Khan, he is the white scars. Okay, you're going to go white and red heraldry on this. The white scars look so drip. They're just imagine getting owned by these guys, bro.
What's up?
And the way they fight is all motorbikes essentially. They just run up on your ass, dude, and run you down. Like you're getting cavalry charged by guys on motorcycles with guns. It's fucking amazing.
Let us ask Noah Hugbox, who is finally joining
Hello,
us here.
Noah.
Sorry, I'm late.
Noah, what do you think
It's all
of the
good,
white
brother.
of the white scars? Because this is where we're up to right now. We got to.
Oh.
Yes.
Let me make sure that I'm actually talking about the right thing. Oh yeah.
Yeah, what?
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
These guys. These fucking guys. I fucking the way that I see it, right,
Mhm.
is that there are so many different little cultural reflections in this universe, and the designs of the fucking like the scimitar and shit are just fucking ridiculous. It's absolutely bananas. It's like some World War II tactics with like the fucking motorbikes and shit. It's fucking ridiculous, is what I would say. That's why I like 40Ks. It's all fucking ridiculous. It doesn't even make any fucking sense. They were like, oh, you know, it'd be awesome. It's like the rule of cool, and that's cool.
It
what I
unironically
got.
is really cool. Yeah. There's even a reason that's the reason the Space Marines wear armor that is colored like this. That's a psychological reason is we don't hide.
Mm-hmm.
We want you to see us coming. We want you to know that when you die, when your skull hits the ground, when your decapitated corpse flies off your body, we want you to know that it was the white scars that killed you. You heard us hooping and hollering and laughing our way over. And once we got here, we were a storm of blades and joy. And that's the white scars, bro. They ride the wind. They're amazing.
I guess it's similar to the British Empire in a way, where the British soldiers, they always wore this bright red uniform. It's like that's
Yes.
really bad camouflage, but
Intimidation.
It's kind of like the sort of War of the Roses era of Europe, right, where everybody's wearing like really ridiculous looking shit. Like think about this Zweihander wielding German guy wearing pantaloons that are like orange and blue checkered. You know what I mean? Like everybody's wearing really weird looking stuff, but it's they're easier to see and denote who it is, right? In long scale warfare, right? You can't walkie talkie, so you have to know who the fuck those guys are based on what they're wearing, right? That's the easiest way. Or flag standards.
And it would
But-
probably save a lot of innocent lives doing that. In a way,
Yeah.
that's kind of like the golden age of war, as people would look back on it as being, and compare to, let's say, now, like the urban warfare or whatever. Because back in the day, it was sort of considered to be more of a gentlemanly thing, where you would go to war and then you would have a cup of tea afterwards. Like it
Exactly.
wouldn't be, yeah.
There's something to it that is a little bit like they could, for example, these guys, right? They could just bomb you from orbit, right? They could destroy your planet from outside of your ability to touch them. But instead, they come down and they ride on motorcycles to come kill you, because to them, it's better to meet you. You know what I mean? It's better to meet you on the battlefield.
Who do they belong to? Which of the sons?
The White Scars?
Yeah.
They're Jagatai Khan. They're Jagatai Khans. Yeah, they're the Mongols. They're literally the Mongol horde. That is the model for this army in particular, right? Next we'll have the Vikings. Okay, we have the Sons of Rus. We have Layman Rus, the Wolf of Fenris, the Wolf Lord. This guy is Layman Rus is ridiculous, dude. I don't know how to explain this person. He is a wolf man. He's not literally a werewolf, but he is the most savage. This is the Viking of Vikings. He's Giga Chad of the Vikings. Okay, yes, Rus is the Emperor's sanction. This is the guy he sends to kill primarchs. Essentially, he is the executioner of the empire of the emperor. He when he wants something destroyed with extreme prejudice, he sends the wolves, and that's the space wolves. Okay, they're from a planet called Fenris, and Fenris is insane. It's basically perpetual winter on Fenris, and all of the people there are fucking savages. super hardcore. And as a result, the Space Marines that they make are also insanely hardcore. They're interesting though. Whenever you read a Space Wolf book, they're very different than how you would think. They're not just like kind of dumb Viking guys. They have like a whole kind of internal world that they have going on within their legion. It's very, very interesting. This is a cool legion that I think some people don't give credit. They call them the Space Furries because they're the wolves, and they have a mutation where they turn into wolf people. Like they're called Wolfen.
It's actually funny that looking at this image right now, the first thing that I'm reminded of is Joe Rogan's American Werewolf.
That is Joe Rogan's American Werewolf. That literally is Joe Rogan's American Werewolf. Yeah, that's a picture of it.
There we go. Noah, what do you think of these guys? Like, which ones are your favorite? Like so far, which are the ones that we?
Or how did you get into 40K? What's the whole?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Let's start with that.
Me, the way I got into 40K.
Yep.
YouTube. Absolutely YouTube. I've always said this before, is I'm too poor to play 40K. But there's so much where like I will sit down in the evening and rather than do something productive, like read a book, I'll be like, I feel like watching a 3-hour Warhammer 40K lore video. And
holy shit.
That's and now kind you're in one.
Yeah. And that's pretty much how I was going with that. And I've just ended up scouring wikis and shit, and it's fucking crazy. I've always liked the I gotta fucking look him up. I sound like a fake fan now because I'm fucking exhausted, by the way. It's not the Blackguard.
Well, we were talking about the Blackguard before. I mean, we were talking about
Blackguard.
What is the Blackguard?
Blackguard is the Blackguard. Is that what you just said?
I think so. I could be wrong. No. What's the one with the guy who's like a fucking serial killer?
Oh, Night Lords. I'm getting that.
That's it. The Night Lords. Yes.
Okay. I will do. They're next after the one after. So we're at 6 and they're 8. They're the 8th Legion. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Now we will get to the Night Lords. That's actually really good. The Night Lords are really fun. The next are the most boring, in my opinion, from the outside because they're not interesting to talk about, but they're really cool as characters. They're called the Imperial Fists. Their Primarch is Rogel Dorn. They are the sort of like they're the fortifiers. They're very good at hiding behind their walls and also being badasses and doing many other things. But they're kind of, they don't have a special thing about them. They're not themed behind anything interesting. They have a cool color palette though. I love the yellow. Yeah, the yellow armor is pretty fucking sick. And they're also, their Primarch has a very awesome mustache. That's kind of his thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Dorn's mustache is legit. And he's just known for being unflinching. Like he's like stone. He doesn't compromise. He's the most hard-headed of all of them. Next is the most interesting, probably, is the Night Haunter, the Conrad Kurz, and the Night Lords. So Conrad Kurz,
he's like, what's the guy from Modern Warfare with the mustache?
Yeah.
Prince.
Yeah, Captain Price.
Yeah.
That's, think of Rogel Dorn like a giant Captain Price.
I'm feeling like as you're explaining this lore, it's like real nerd shit. Yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's like this. I guess you could say autistic power fantasy. Like it's just devoid of any like what we know to be humanity. So I don't know.
Wait, no. Well, to a degree, because I'm speaking about things that literally aren't human. Like these aren't people, dude. That's what you need to understand. They're not. They look like people. They sound like people. But they're more. They're people, but more. They're bigger and more than a human because that's the nature of the task that they're appointed with. Imagine if it was your job to help your godfather, your literal godman father, take over an alien-infested galaxy that's full of things that are designed, that they're waiting, just chomping at the bit to eat everyone and everything. So that's your job. So you have to be inhuman. You have to. You have an inhuman task, right? They're not people. That's actually part of this. Like Space Marines turn because they're not people, and they get angry at the fact that they know that they're kind of going to be discarded at the end of this thing. Like it's not for them. They're fighting and dying for something is not for them.
Well, what is their motivation then?
But do they have a soul? Do they have any kind of afterlife to?
Yeah, they have souls, and because they're still made out of a human. They're built out of a person. They're gene rot. You're made. You're essentially added to. Imagine it like CRISPR, but after you're already alive.
Like
so
an
it's
entire
a
army of Doom guys.
yeah, essentially, it's an entire army of Doom guys.
And
Yeah.
I love Buff's comment over here, because when Buff delivers, he delivers. This is trains are also not people; they are
There's
more.
something more.
They are.
Well, let's trains. Warhammer. Am I making a connection here between a certain type of neurotypical people?
I'm just remembering that scene with from The Sopranos with what was his name, Bobby.
Bobby.
Remember? Yeah, when he was at the train set, and then
Yeah, that was called the blue. The second to last episode. I hated when Bobby got clipped. By the way, that was terrible.
Yeah,
but
R.I.P.
well, at least he
R.I.P.
died doing what he loved. So
I wish they would have killed Christopher maybe like around season 3, but then like I don't know, Bobby just wasn't a right fit for the second in command. It just wasn't. I don't know.
yeah,
They should have got rid of. I wish Paulie wasn't as incompetent, but then who knows? Who knows the possibility? Sorry. Speaking of
It's
autism,
funny if it turns into a Sopranos lore.
Yeah, that's even better. That's even better. It's similar. Okay, so wait, let me get to this guy. So this guy is Conrad Kurz. All right, his legion is the Night Lords. He comes from a planet that is essentially, imagine like Gotham City, right?
Mm-hmm.
But or Judge Dredd, right? Mega City 1, right? Okay, so imagine that, but it's the whole planet, right? That's what it's not Prospero. Prospero is Magnus's. If somebody in the chat can help me out, I can't remember the name of his planet right now, but it doesn't matter. It has a perpetual night cycle because it has a really heavy manufacturing base. I think it's adamantium or something. So it's eternally clouded, the planet. So everybody's eyes are black. They have they have like full pupil eyes. And the planet is essentially like Mega City 1 or Gotham City in that it's the most like corrupt, gang filled. Like it's just the worst, right? This place is horrible. And he crash lands on this place alone. He has no family. He has no parents. He has no nothing, right? As many of the others too. But the difference is that he's also kind of crazy. Like Conrad's problem is that he can see the future, but he sees the worst path always. Like if he meets you, for example, and he touches you or he sees you, he will see your death, right? He'll see how you die. So he knew how he would die as a child. He understood how many of the people around him would die as a child without being able to understand why this is happening. He's also feral, essentially. Like he's a feral kid within this Mega City 1 environment. And as a result, he becomes this like psychopathic Punisher type character named the Night Haunter. That's what he calls himself. And he basically takes over the planet through use of terror tactics on the populace and becomes essentially the king of the planet through vicious retaliatory thing. Like if any law breaking is punished by death immediately. Like that's the type of person that he is.
What are like what's the population like in these cities? Like if it's like a heavy industrial base, is it kind of like they have like significant like genetic mutations, or is it like everyone's just CRISPR? There is no such thing as disease anymore.
No, not at all. None of that shit. It's not luxury. We're not in the golden age of tech anymore. It's many people. It's a massive stratification of society. The vast majority of people are living in complete abject misery, favela times a billion life. Okay.
Wow. Global favela.
Yeah, essentially that's what his planet is. That's what his planet would be. Is Nocturne? No, Nostromo. Nostromo. The name of the planet is Nostromo, like the ship in Alien, the Nostromo. Right. So so Nostroman life is awful. There is a upper class. It's spires. Hive cities in 40K are always built upwards and downwards, and the lower you go, obviously, the worse your life. The higher you are in a class, and the better your life is potentially. Upper class in the Imperium is excellent to many degrees. You can leave your world if you want. You can obviously trade as is galactic, so you can basically have access to anything you want if you have enough money. There's juvenile treatments that keep you young. Plenty of any type of aesthetic treatment that you would want, you can have. Even things like injuries, if you like to replace limbs with robotic limbs, even there are robotic limbs that are rudimentary, like Luke Skywalker's, right, to all the way up to stuff that looks like a real arm, right? It is wholly stratified, this society.
And
right?
you're talking about a Nostromo in particular, or pretty much any of these?
I mean in general, but Nostromo is particularly corrupt and awful. Okay. Any imperial world has these things to a degree. The Emperor is not literally making life better for literally every downtrodden person. He has an actual job to do, which is trying to keep your soul from being eaten forever. Okay, like that's what he's doing. While you're like, why isn't he making it so my life is better? And I'm not like sad, or like, why can't I?
But you're just a cog, like you're just a Morlock, pretty much. Most people.
Yes, you are a cog. Yes, 100%.
And just to rewind a bit for the people who don't know, what is this force that's trying to eat everybody's soul?
This is the gods of chaos that dwell within the warp. This is a malevolent dimension that is intelligent, understands, is non-linear in its time frame, so it knows the past and the future. It's trying to eat you. It doesn't want to eat you. It wants to eat your soul. It wants to eat your experiences. It wants to eat your potentiality. It wants to eat everything you could be, everything you are, everything you were. The only reason that it would keep you alive is to proverbially fatten you up in an immaterial way, make you more of a morsel to then ultimately eat, because that's what it wants. It wants to devour you. So the Emperor is attempting to stop this devouring. Now, if you are to be
too, aren't they? They're like the result of people. Like they're they're like the result of like thought forms, right? They're kind of like the result of emotion.
Yeah. Yes, that's what common demonry, right? Like the sort of piranhas. If we think about it, like almost like in a natural environment sense, like almost like how the bacterial world and the sort of like single-celled organism world is extremely vicious and everything's just eating each other all the time. It's like that. Okay, these are the bacteria. The single-celled organisms of the warp are stray resentments, jealousies, thoughts, hatreds, perversions, all of that. All your kumis,
but then become like
out there, all you
they
gooners,
become spiritualized.
You're creating god-like beings and not even knowing it.
Well, they have that actually in Jewish lore, where this is what Ari Shafir, the comedian, said, that when you go into Jewish heaven, you first have to go through a door where you see all of your unborn children that resulted from you cooming. I think there is something to that. But somebody was saying earlier
that would be a warp thing. That would definitely happen.
That would be. Well, somebody was saying earlier in the comments that the warp was not always like this. That there was a time the warp was better.
No, the warp was not always a hell, essentially. It was okay. I tried to explain this in a long series of like voice notes on Twitter the other day, but I think I can put it better now. The warp is essentially an ocean, okay? And the water is made up of your emotions, the emotions of all sentient beings, okay? Even non-sentient, but they have a less of a ripple effect, right? Like their fire is less important within this greater conflagration, right? Their drop in the water in the ocean is less, but it's still important. It's still there. The warp is an ocean that has currents and turbulence and vortexes and all kinds of crazy shit within it, but it wasn't malevolent until the event that caused the Old Night happens, and even before that. Okay, this is the war in heaven. That's what it's called in lore. This is the Hyperborea ancient civilization part of Warhammer 40,000, which is the ancient civilization called the Old Ones. They're essentially, from what we understand, they're some sort of weird frog race. For some reason,
frog race?
Yeah, they're frogs.
Oh.
Interesting. Right? They're frogs for some reason. Yeah, so the frogs were really good at being psychic and shit. Okay, and also as a result of their super psychic power, they got insight into all of the other things that would come from that. The Old Ones became the hyper power of the galaxy. And within this galaxy is one of the current Xenos races, the Necrons. At this time, they were not metal robots. They were people who lived on on a planet with a very harsh star that killed them very quickly. So their lives were very short, very brutal, short lives. And as a result, their generations were very short. So they lived out long civilizational periods very quickly. And they were very jealous of the old ones when the old ones discovered them, because the old ones came down and were like, man, this place fucking sucks. And then they just left. And the Necrons were like, yo, you guys live forever? And they're like, yeah, it's awesome. And then they just left. Like, they didn't. The Necrons are like, wait, that's bullshit, man. You can't just like show us that it's possible to be immortal and then we lived for like 10 years, dude. You know how horrible this is? So as a result of this incredible mogging, the Necrons got so angry that they decided to wage essentially the ultimate jihad against these frog people. They were so mad, in fact, that they even got help, not even from the djinn of the warp, but of real flesh. Well, they're not flesh, technically, they're living metal. But real living metal djinn. These things are called the Catan, they're star gods. They eat stars. Okay? So, the Necrons got real upset, tried to fight the old ones, realized they were going to lose this war because the old ones are next level. The old ones created sentient races simply to fight the Necrons so that they didn't have to fight the Necrons. Unironically, they created the Orcs, they created the Eldar, just to fight the Necrons, okay? Even that was not enough, because once the Star Gods got involved on the Necron side, they turned them into these robot things, because they were like, yo, guys, we have a really cool idea. We can make you immortal. And the Necrons are like, really? Like, yeah, it's totally sick. It's this metal, you go inside of it, and then you're immortal. And we can transfer your soul, your consciousness into the metal. It'll be amazing. And the Necrons are like, this is sick. And then the Star Gods, whispered to the Necron, like, the elites of the Necron society. They're like, okay, so now that they're not listening, they totally aren't going to be able to keep their consciousnesses, and they'll essentially just be automatons. But you guys will be able to keep your consciousnesses. So this is a sick idea, right? And then as a result, we'll use this big army to kill the frog guys, right? And that's what we want, right? And the Necrons are like, totally. So they do this, and then they're like, this is hell. Immediately regret the entire thing. But instead of just killing themselves like a normal person would, what they do is go, you know what? Because this horrible thing happened to me, I'm going to take it out on everyone else. So that's what the Necrons do, okay? They kill the frog guys. The Eldar beat them back eventually, and so do the Orcs. But the frog guys end up dying. And all of this galactic trillions and trillions of lives being spent, horrific, super hate-filled war, this conflict creates the warp that we know now. Okay, that's how bad it was. That's how much darkness was involved in that war. So it creates this malevolent place, right? That's why this place
literally a
is the way it
galactic
is.
holocaust creates this total thought form generated ethereal hell that
Yes.
you can cross galaxies with.
But even
Yes.
before that, it was the mogging. It was the frog mogging that
It was the
created
frog
this.
mog.
Yeah.
Yes, it was unironically the frog mog on these fucking guys, the virgin Necron tier, who just could not handle being mocked so goddamn hard.
Wow.
So that is a pretty good story. That's the beginning. That's how all of this starts, really. That's why the warp is the way it is.
What you're saying is the warp was all provoked because the Necron couldn't handle a severe sunburn.
Yeah,
basically.
they're seething. They were seething at the sunburn, and
coping and
the fact
seething.
that, imagine it this way. Like, imagine that you're being burned alive, right? And then a frog opens a portal in reality and pokes his head in and goes, "This sucks," and just like, by the way, my life is awesome, and then just leaves. Like, that's what happened. That was their experience. That's why they're so upset. So the warp is this way for that reason, right? That's why it is so malevolent. It created these massive egregoric entities within the warp that are the four chaos gods. Okay, this is the most interesting aspect of this entire setting, in my opinion, and the one that has the most parity in real life, is the gods of chaos. and their domains and how chaos works. So the gods of chaos are four. They're named such. Khorne. So Khorne. Khorne. Okay, Khorne is the god of blood. He is very mad. He enjoys blood a lot. That's his whole thing. What he is the impulse for violence within all sentient creatures. He wishes simply for blood to flow and for his devotees to take skulls in his name. Okay?
Wait, is this where blood for the blood god comes from? Or?
This is exactly where blood for the blood god comes from. He is the blood god. Khorne is the blood god.
Wait, okay? Lev, go up to that comment from it's before, yeah.
Which what? Scum-sucking Slimer?
Yeah. At what point do all these weird characters form a polycule with Sephiroth and Crash Bandicoot?
In the Final Fantasy house. Fuck. It's within the Final Fantasy house. But it's the third Final Fantasy house.
Oh, come on, for a third Final Fantasy.
It's the future Final Fantasy.
Can you imagine a Warhammer house? It's like a model making factory, and I don't know. That'll
be cool, actually.
By the way, every time Scum-sucking Slimer shows up on the chat, I always post an image of Grimer, because this is like the first thing I associate with the word scum. Yeah, because look,
Grimer.
He's got like some stuff around his mouth, which is probably scum that he was sucking. So he is a scum-sucking Slimer.
So is Warhammer 40k like the only franchise that they've like they've tried their darndest to make sure that no woman in their right mind ever would ever be interested in this? Like,
yeah, basically,
it's the sole fan base of like neuroatypical men.
They have essentially female factions, but like, why would first of all?
Yeah, well, that's another thing. Is there any sort of like sexuality or any kind of like ritual involved with marriage or anything in this universe, or is it all just like genetically engineered demigods?
I'm giving this impression that it's all Space Marines, but the Space Marines are actually they're just the catalyst. They're the tip of the spear that pushes the story, and that's why they're important. But no, it's trillions and trillions of people. It's more about people than anything else. Like the vast majority of the armies of humanity, for example, right? Because it's a war game. The vast majority of the armies are just people. It's the Imperial Guard. It's just human beings with what are essentially like just an AR-15, their version of an AR-15, which is a lasgun, just a normal laser rifle.
The lasguns to me almost seem like Vietnam era M16A1s, where they're just absolute shit, but they just give them to everybody.
Yeah,
exactly. That's actually there's actually even the Catechins. They're a guard regiment. It's literally just Vietnam. They're Rambo. They're all Rambo. Like the planet that they exist on is just Vietnam hell. Like,
I had no idea about this. By the way, you guys have to understand that I know nothing about this game. I thought that the only humans that were left were the Marines, and here I see an image of just like regular Joes fighting in regular armor, and it's like...
So I was getting to the heresy because I had to explain this aspect. The heresy is such a bad event for humanity that it literally causes them to rethink everything about what they're doing. They stop having so many Space Marines being able to be controlled by so few people, because when you allow so few people to control so many Space Marines, they kill half of the people in the galaxy to try to take it over. Like, it becomes a problem. So they disperse this, man. It becomes at maximum groups of the maximum a one group of Space Marines can be like one chapter, one legion becomes 1,000 members. This is the chapter system. The legions are all hundreds of thousands of warriors, right? This is 1,000 groups, and that's it. Everything else is people, and it has to be, because if it isn't, it becomes the heresy. And the fact that it's people is kind of the joy. Like, even in the moments of, you know, when the Emperor is slain by Horus, and right as he kills Horus, one thing in the lore, in the fluff or the lore that has existed for a really long time, is a character named Oleanus Pius. And I'm gonna wax poetic about Oleanus a little bit, because he's literally my favorite character in the entire setting. This is a setting full of very interesting alien races that we can get to that are cool and make you want to, you know, buy the models and fucking play the fucking stupid race, and, you know, I'm an orc, you know, the whole stupid bullshit, right? But Oleanus Pius is, so the Emperor and and Horus have this once they meet. It's the struggle, right? They fight each other. They do the thing, and they have their mortal combat. But before Horus gets to the Emperor, first he kills his brother, the angel Sanguinius, who we never got to, but that's okay because it's not hard to find all this stuff. I'm going to, at the end of this stream, by the way, plug a bunch of channels for really, really good Warhammer based content that doesn't just feel like lore dumps. It's actually interesting to watch. But Sanguinius is killed first. So Horus kills the angel, and this is symbolically, imagine watching an angel be laid low, right? How that would make you as a person feel, right? The angel is so emblematic of triumph, of hope, of the ability for man to continue its in its faith, in its like everything, right? Like the angel is the hand of God, right? Essentially, this is God's will made manifest in reality. They work God's will, and to watch an angel be killed, right? This is like, okay, well, now we're completely fucked. Like even the angel wasn't enough, right? And Aullianus is a guy. He's just a person. He's a army trooper who is in the throne room during this fight. And he watches the angel be killed. And the Emperor and Horus have their fucking titanic battle. And Horus mortally wounds the Emperor. And as he is about to lay the final blow, right, in a very dramatic moment, as you might imagine, this guy steps between them. Now, he knows 100 billion% that he is basically the equivalent of smoke. He might as well not be there. It doesn't matter that he is there at all. It's not an obstacle, right, for Horus. Horus is death incarnate, and that he does it anyway. He steps in front of the Emperor, and he denounces Horus to his face, right? Like, essentially calls him a punk bitch, right? And he stands in front, right? Now Horus kills him, obviously, but is then utterly destroyed by his father in the last act that the Emperor makes sentiently, right? Like the last thing that he does while he's alive is destroy the Emperor for this. Yes, there he is, right? So Aullianus is emblematic of literally every single guardsman and all of the people, the normal humans in this setting, because at the end of the day, part of this is putting yourself in the shoes of the people within this setting and seeing what life would be like in a regime like this, and in a universe like this that is actively trying to destroy your life so often, and to stand in front of it with courage, even though it is something that you are never going to be able to stop, is to me the most noble of acts, right? This is like it's something that cynical people will go, well, that was stupid, he didn't accomplish anything. But I think those of us that have a maybe a romantic heart, or even just people with empathy, will look at somebody who is willing to do something that is impossible, like put themselves in front of something that is impossible. That's a noble act, man.
And this flag over here, they're parading it around. What is this related to? So he becomes a national hero then?
Aullianus, well, he becomes like he's a saint of saints. Like this is you have to remember, the Emperor becomes a god, right? Like this becomes a codified religion. And funnily enough, ironically, the most ironic part about Warhammer 40,000, in my opinion, is that the first son to actually become a traitor is not Horus, it's Lorgar. Lorgar is the priest. He's the son that is the most religious, and he's the one who actually writes the religion that is the religion of the cult of the Emperor. Called he writes the Bible called the Lectitio Divinitatis. So,
well, I thought you said that the Emperor wanted to keep things non-religious.
Yes, he did, and his son wrote that anyway, and then he punished him greatly. And then Horus had Lorgar had such a bitch fit about it that he became the first heretic and caused literally every problem that happened afterward. I don't even want to get started on Lorgar because he just pisses me off. He's essentially the most petulant of children. It's your father going, listen to me. I know what you are saying. You are worshiping me because I am obviously godlike. I'm aware that the only person who would ever have to say, don't worship me, I'm a god, is somebody who is exhibiting godlike characteristics. I'm aware that this is paradoxical. Please just shut the fuck up and do what I'm asking you to do. That's all that the Emperor wanted from Lorgar, but he wouldn't. He wouldn't. Instead, he refused, and he had to just start a religion, and then he had to realize that, okay, Dad, if you're not going to be my god, I'm going to go find a different god. And then he went to the warp and he found Thor. And that's what happened, right? Like, it is petulant child behavior. So Lorgar creates the religion, and that's ironic to me. It's funny that, like, the traitor son is the most influential in the society that, like, and he's like, the Emperor's dead. He can't even do anything about it. It's like the ultimate torture. It's like you're watching the thing, your ambition, become your nightmare actively, and you can't stop it. And it was caused by something that you attempted to stop while you were alive. Like, he didn't want it to happen, but it still did. But even the worship of the Emperor is actually an interesting part of this, because the way the warp works is attention, right? And faith actually gives power. So technically the Emperor is becoming a god, like, without his consent. He doesn't really want to be, but he is, because they worship him. And because they worship him, he can channel his power through them. Essentially, the Emperor is becoming the material version of what the Chaos Gods are to the demons, to his own worshippers. Like, he is the source of their power in the same way in which Khorne, the blood god, is the source of power of any of the Khornate demons that you may see, all of the little red imps with swords that you may see in the images, right? His faithful are his version of that. And he would hate that probably, but too bad, because he's fucking dead now. Well, he's like stasis dead. But yeah, there are many humans. There are more humans than not. In fact, the most powerful people in the galaxy are all people. They're all human beings.
But there's no there's no recording of like how many like people are on the Earth. Like, I'm assuming it's in the trillions, right? Like,
yes, because it's also they're
throughout the galaxy. Sorry, yeah.
Well, throughout the galaxy, it would be trillions. It's impossible to. You have to remember, again, this is they acknowledge the impossibility of bureaucracy. All of the things that we like, the Imperium. If you guys were to look into this, especially all of us who critique modernity, the Imperium is a great way of looking at this. Like, they don't know how to make tech that they had when the Emperor was alive. They don't. They are an empire in decline completely. And the Emperor went at the height of his power, at the height of the Imperium, when he was doing fine and everything was good. They still wouldn't really be able to do an administrative task like literally counting every single citizen. Never mind now, when everything is a fucking mess.
But he was able to genetically engineer offspring, so there was some technology that he was able to.
Okay, so that is a special case. Like, this is one person having tech that is like he essentially hoarded this kind of technology because he knew it's not accessible, right? Like, no one else. He's the only person who can do that kind of thing, right? It's not like it's widely distributed. This technology. The best way to help you understand this is there's a concept in the universe called the STCs, Standard Template Constructs. Okay, anybody who's a Mechanicus fan will know what these are. So a Standard Template Construct is essentially a imagine it like a universal code for the blueprints of a machine of some sort, right? And the Imperium does not have the vast majority of standard template constructs. If a standard template construct is found to be on a planet somehow, the Mechanicum will sacrifice an insane amount of resources and lives to recover that standard template construct. A great example of this is, you may have seen, Lev, can you do me a favor and look up Terminator armor?
Absolutely.
Warhammer 40,000.
And while I'm looking that up, we have a $5 donation from Super Iron Bob. Thank you so much, Super Iron Bob, who says, as with all things 40K, remember that the whole universe and setting is told by unreliable narrators who interact with what could be called hell.
Yes. Yes, this is a very important part to remember as well, is that all of the information that you're getting from about Warhammer 40,000 is delivered to you. The people who write these write it from the perspective of characters in the world. So like all of the like when you buy an army, for example, right, tabletop game, there are things called codexes that tell you all of your army stats and how much damage all the guns do and how much armor your characters have and how everything works, right? The rules for your army. Those codexes are presented to you almost like a document, like a folder or like a dossier, compiled by the Imperium itself. Okay, so these things are propaganda documents as much as they are pieces to inform you, as much as they are anything else. Like it's all done self-referentially. So you understanding the way in which the setting is designed helps you to understand everything that you see about the setting from there on. You can learn more just by understanding how the setting works than you can all of the fucking names and details that I could give you. Like understanding that every citizen is under the boot of the Inquisition and that there's a whole organization called the Inquisition that has a mandate of heaven. Essentially, if they have they don't really have to produce evidence except to themselves about your trial. They can arrest basically anyone in the entire Imperium if there's any suspicion of heresy or anything like that. Yeah, so there's thought.
Oh wait, well, what's the armor again? The armor you want me to look at?
Terminator, Terminator armor. Oh yeah, because STCs. Let's just
and all the people. Here we go. Here's the Terminator armor. All the people who are watching this, subscribe, and subscribe. I am incredibly impressed by Remus's knowledge of this. This is amazing.
Encyclopedic.
So you see this?
Yes.
You see this Termi armor? All right.
Yes.
Okay. So Terminator armor is technically its real designation is tactical dreadnought armor. Okay, but this armor is used by basically veterans of a legion who are super. It makes you super durable. You can eat a fuckload of bullets in one of these things. Okay, like sheets of fire, and you're not going to die. You can just keep moving because that's what it's designed for. Now, what those suits of Terminator armor were actually designed for by the society during the Golden Age that created them, because the Terminator armor is a standard template construct, okay? So Terminator armor was designed to go inside reactors. It's literally just like a hazmat suit, okay? So that should help you understand the gap in tech between Golden Age and now. Something that was used to keep people who go into reactors safe is being used as the height of protectionary armor by the warriors who are the forefront of the galaxy's ability to do destruction upon literally anything. So it's essentially like I just told you that the crack team of the most powerful Jocko Willink Chad Navy SEALs on Earth are all kitted with another race's like toys, or like they're wearing like cardboard armor, like what would be considered paper. You know what I mean? Just this is just something that's used by people. This is menial task work. Like, so we don't actually know what their real shit was like during the Golden Age, because that is left obscure on purpose for you to sort of be like, wow, it allows the writers to allow for bullshit Deus Ex Machina.
Wait, did you just say? It sounded like you said bullshit gay sex machina. I know that's not what you said.
No, I said Deus Ex, like a bullshit Deus Ex Machina, like a technology, right? Like they can introduce a machine that can do things that are impossible because it's Golden Age
they could
technology.
just grab it out of we found this machine from the before times.
Exactly.
This is Terminator armor. It's pretty tall in comparison to the other armors that I see over here.
Yeah,
what is that? what does that say about the size of the people that would have been in this particular armor?
Oh,
This,
isn't that interesting? Well, maybe they were all gene tech, and maybe everybody was Rich Piana in the golden age, right? That'd be sick. We all left humanity behind, dude. No, but unironically, like that's the point, right? Is we don't know. It was all taken, right? Like
wait, but how do the regulars fit into that armor? Because you said that it's made up of veterans from, let's say, the Space Marines. So the Space Marine armor is a lot smaller. How would they fit into this much bigger hazmat suit?
Because it's designed for them to sit. It's not. The majority of the armor is not protection. It's almost like secondary musculature that's designed. Like fiber bundle musculature that's designed to make it easier for them to move within the armor and also enhance their strength. Like a Space Marine in armor is a whole nother ball game compared to a Space Marine out of armor. And a Space Marine out of armor, there is not a human being on Earth that would ever be able to even get close to besting this creature. Like they would fuck you up so bad, yo. It's not even fair. Like they just snap you up like.
Wait, but then why do they wear the armor? Why not just go?
Well, because they have to fight even more powerful things like
because yes, the armor should help you. Yes, the armor should help you understand and help. The armor implies what they fight. You understand? They're wearing that kind of shit because the things that they deal with can eat them inside the armor, bite through it like it's made out of cardboard. That's the kind of shit that they have to deal with. That's why they're using guns that are essentially firing rocket-propelled grenades for every bullet. That's why they are so overkill. Everything in Warhammer 40,000 seems ridiculous, but that's just because you don't see the other ridiculous thing around the corner that thing is designed to deal with. The reason that these guys are using swords that are chainsaws is because, like, I just told, okay, those skeleton boys that I told you about, the Necrons, right? Mm-hmm. Their weapons are firing Gauss energy that de-stitches molecules, right? So they can cut you like it's their weaponry can cut through your armor like it's nothing, right? And if you don't take them apart fully, they can reassemble themselves. So you have to have stuff that requires like overkill. Everything has to be overkill. You don't take chances. Why? What's the point? Just kill it. You understand? That's the mentality here. It is why am I gonna shoot it with a 22 when I can shoot it with a 50 cal every time? You know what I mean? There's no
Makes
point.
Sense.
Just put it down. Just put it down. So that was his idea, is I'm gonna make things that are so ridiculously overpowered that they can deal with anything that they might have to deal with. And that's why he made them. And there's still not enough, man. There's still not enough. They can still be utterly taken out.
I love this comment from Godward. Can't tell if this is a conversation about some nerdy sci-fi world or about one of Lev's very ancient prehistory riffs.
Oh, God.
It's both.
Yes, it is both.
But maybe we could talk about, instead of like the lore, like I guess, I don't know. The lore has melted my brain a little bit.
It did not. Yeah, it's melted
so
my
much.
brain.
No,
Right?
it's a lot of information. It's a lot of Now think about how hard it would be for me to try to put. I was like, how am I going to explain this?
Well, I honestly, I'm unironically saying that I think this would make a better college course in terms of stimulating the imagination of kids than a lot of the college courses they attend today. Like, I'm serious, you know, like
it would teach them.
Well, they have college courses on the Marvel universe, so might as well.
No, they do.
Yeah, see, I don't know. This looks much better to me than the Marvel. You know, I don't want to be a hater here, but I don't know. Like, I just feel so enamored by all of this. I mean, Noah, you probably got the same feeling when you were first discovering all of these different things that were going on in this world. And in a way, there are similar things that I've thought of in terms of making a video game. Like, I really do think that all these things do belong in the noosphere, and we end up grabbing them. And as far as what's happening right now, though, like, Noah, what is your experience with the fandom itself? Are you noticing that the fandom is in any way being, let's say, led down the woke road, or is this something that is unwokeable? Is this something that is completely shielded from all the things we've talked about here?
I've heard plenty of stuff of people being like 40K is going down the shitter basically, and like it's taking the woke path. I'm like, there's literally no way that you could make a fucking story about massive superhumans cutting things apart like that. You know what I mean? It's It is so acrimonious to me that I'm like,
I
there's
would
no
kind of
concern.
rebut this though. I would kind of rebut this. This is how I would. This is the one thing that it is. They're
try.
getting in. They're getting in, but it's difficult because of the setting. The setting is almost SJW proof because it already provides all the things that they need, right?
Well, I think
nobody's
because
barred,
it's like it's such a
nobody's barred
heavily
from-
reliant on like any like the esoteric values of war and conquest and
Honor
Yes,
and
the
glory
Nietzschean
and those kind of
spirit.
things. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yes, but it's also it also massively critiques these things. Like I'm presenting the Imperium as a good guy, mostly because the bad guy is so bad. But the Imperium is definitely not a good guy at all. It would be horrific to live in this place. It would be the worst, basically. The only way it would be good would be if you were some sort of patrician on some planet, and even then, you would just have to hope, essentially, that you don't get fucking murder fucked by one of the myriad problems in the sorry, you're getting a Tyranid invasion. Okay, biomass is falling from the sky, and now there's going to be aliens eating everything on the planet. Sorry, and like that's it. Like, okay, even if you're rich, you can't. There's no way to escape. Is it Hobbes or Locke? That's the sort of like a
Hobbes.
dog eat dog.
Mhm.
Yeah. So there's no way to escape that mouth, that constantly eating mouth, right? It's
This isn't
difficult
Hobbes.
for
This is like
everyone.
Thomas Ligotti shit. Like,
Yeah,
Old Liver Rivers says, try saying that 50 times. Orcs are the good guys.
Orcs are the pure guys because orcs don't really have an objective, and they're not malevolent in that they're not evil per se. They would be evil to us because they're really violent and cruel, but they're not evil in that they don't have evil intentions.
They're just
they
like
don't
nature.
care.
Yeah.
They just want to fight. Literally, they just want to fight. That's all it's about for them. They just like fighting, and they fight forever, and they'll fight amongst themselves. And eventually, if they figure out that there's something out there that's better to fight, they will go fight that. Here's actually an example. Gork and Mork are the orcs gods. Okay, Gork is the brutal and cunning one, and Mork is the cunning and brutal one. Okay, and their whole thing is that the orcs are just so multitudinous. There's so many of them, and they're so like dumb and blockheaded.
And by the way, they look a lot like the orcs from Warcraft.
oh, I
which,
wonder
again,
why.
You know why?
Yes.
That's because they are the orcs from Warcraft because Blizzard are hacks. Well, no, it's not because Blizzard are hacks. It's not. It's because they were going to make a game with Games Workshop, and Games Workshop pulled the plug on them, and then they were just like, "Well, fuck you. We're gonna make it anyway. You don't own orcs."
Yeah. Well, people
that's
were
part of
saying
the
earlier
reason.
in the chat that there seems to be a lot of hate for the for Games Workshop itself as a company.
Oh yeah, I hate Games Workshop.
Yeah, but isn't
think
like
about
Blizzard
that.
kind
Think
of
about
like
everything. Think about everything that I just said. The amount of I know about this, all of
Mhm.
that. Yeah, I fucking hate Games Workshop because they're morons, man. They don't even understand what people actually want about the thing that they make, which is so strange. I could have told them 15 years ago, hey bro, you know what you guys should probably do? You guys should probably just talk to literally any of the good video game studios and just work on making something that would be interesting. You could make anything. As you guys have noticed, this is the most vast thing ever. And you can probably figure out some way to make a scenario or a narrative.
Wait,
within
there
this
hasn't been a
universe.
Warhammer video game yet?
There have been, but most
They're
of
just
them are
never
dog
as
shit.
good as you'd think they'd be.
Oh, wow. Because
Yeah,
you
most of
figured
them are
like it
dog
has
shit.
such a deep ready-made lore that you could just like take it to, I don't know, well, not Activision, fuck them, but like like
yeah, but yeah.
This is
no,
like
they're-
this is like the most fucked up thing to me about 40K, right? Is I'm like, this should be like a Halo game,
yeah,
but like
yeah.
way fucking cooler. And they just do not understand this at all for some reason. And
Yeah.
I do not get it. I
Yeah,
simply
they-
do
they-
not
Would
get
it,
it.
would it
They-
cheapen the plastic toys though? Like, would it cheapen the reputation of having to, buy the sets and pay for the plastic and all that? Because
No, not
Yeah,
really,
because they can
because
always-
then the
they can-
hardcore fans.
Yeah,
Like-
and they can always build that
Yeah.
stuff as like it's a you can do it with your kids. You know what I mean? There's a million
Yeah.
ways to sort of market that part of the tabletop. But dude, they would be. I can't even explain. People are like, well, they should make a cinematic thing. I'm like, no, that's the last thing they should do. They don't make a movie. That's the worst thing ever. would be making a movie because it would
Nicolas
be
Cage
dog
could be
shit.
God Emperor.
Did you see though?
I would actually prefer that. I would like that if Nick Cage was God Emperor.
Remus,
I
did
don't
you
know-
see that they picked up the person that made Astartes to
I
end
did.
up making? I was
so
like, that's
happy.
like the best thing they've done in a while
It
by
really
making
is.
that decision.
It is to me. It is the sort of ray of sunlight that Games Workshop is actually finally starting to get it. Is that, listen, if you have, I wanted to say this at the beginning, but this is as good a time as any, because but most people now who are fans did not come in the way in which the traditional fan came in, which is on the tabletop, which is looking at the models. So you walk by the fucking store and you see these cool things. And you're like, what the fuck is that? What is that? That thing is awesome. What is that thing? That's the coolest thing I've ever seen. Like, whatever that model is, I just want to know what it is. So you walk into the weird nerd store and there's like 6 people in it. Some of them are around. There's tables with like scenery and shit on them. There's models on them. It's
And
strange,
some of them
right?
have like finger gloves with socks
Yeah.
and sandals
Yeah,
and like
those guys who
fucking
definitely
glass.
look like they're gonna go home and go to their goon cave. You know what I mean? Like that's who populates the store. So it's kind of weird and intimidating in that way, but it's an experience. It's part of it, right? And you go and you ask somebody.
Ray of Light, by the way, we have $5 Canadian from Dream Radio. Thank you so much, Dream Radio. He says, because of how dangerous and subversive chaos are in 40K, theocratic fascism is the obvious only way to survive. Very based. So there we go. Thank you,
Yes,
Dream Radio.
Well, because
That
you
is
have to.
unironically true.
Because essentially, like, if you have things that are created from your own intention, like a Tulpa or Orgriggor, that is occupying the fact that the warp is like filled with the possibilities of one's own malice or envy or 7 deadly sins or whatnot. You almost need like a theocratic structure to maintain order, because then people would just go off everywhere. Like, I imagine goon caves wouldn't exist in the Warhammer 40K universe. Like, you wouldn't.
Well, no. What about
there
all
were-
those
there were-
chaos entities, the perverted ones?
Here he is. Lev, this is the part for you. Okay, this is the goon cave. This is the goon cave part of the episode.
Oh God.
Okay, so one of the chaos gods is named Slaanesh. Slaanesh is the newest god of chaos, and Slaanesh's birth in the warp is actually the thing that caused the old night that I mentioned, right? That ended the golden age. Okay, Slaanesh was born out of the degeneracy of a certain race of aliens called the Eldari, the space elves. Okay, so they were extremely psychic. They had a great presence within the warp, and because they were such hedonistic, degenerate fucks as a civilization, because they got just so bored with being the masters of the universe, essentially, or the galaxy, they started to just become super degenerates, and their collective, like, degenerate knot of awful, like, murder, like, sex, drugs, and rock and roll that they created makes like almost like a bubble popping in the warp. And it actually creates a warp rift in their part of space that's now called the Eye of Terror, and it slowly bleeds the warp into real space at all times. It's their fault. Thank you, Eldar.
The hippies fuck everything up, don't they?
No, yeah, seriously.
It's literally like Bojared's after the orgy. By the way, is my volume better?
You're a little
It's
lower.
a little bit quiet.
Yeah, you're a little quieter.
Yeah.
Come up.
Yeah, because I changed, because someone said I was blowing out their. Is that better? That's probably.
Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah.
You were better. You were better the first time. I got get better ears, dude. I'm kidding. No.
No, but some guy said my volume was too loud.
I know. I honestly think that
you
when
were
some guy says it may actually be their problem, not yours. I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah,
maybe I'm wrong.
Got him.
Anyways, so I
Got
think
him.
like it's really funny how this is like Bojared's after the orgy. Like, you literally run out of things to seek cheap ecstasy in, and it's
so you start
literally
to
all
become
morals
more
have
and
been
more dark.
violated
Ooh.
ever.
Yeah, it's
$5
a slippery slope.
Super Iron Bob. $5 Imperium Tulpa GF now. Now.
Boy.
No, you don't want that. You don't want that. And this is where I'm getting to. Okay, so Slaaneshi demons. Slaanesh is the god of excess. Okay, more than anything.
Like
It's not about-
Dionysius, but more like.
Yes, like
Dionysius.
revelry, and excessiveness. But even okay, for example, let me give you 2 ways in which a person could fall to Slaanesh. Okay, one is the goon. Okay, the goon is in the goon cave gooning all day, every day, and essentially he has dedicated his life to pleasure and the seeking of pleasure and the excessive seeking of pleasure, making it all everything about his, making his identity around it. He is the ultimate. Yeah, that right there. There's the gooner. There's the gooner in the Slaanesh goon cave.
It is a jeu d'essence of.
However,
wow, that's quite a. That's actually kind of an accurate depiction of if you had like cosmic goon caving.
Bro, this is why I needed to explain this to you guys, because when I heard goon cave for the first time and understood what it meant, I was like, oh, this is just Slaanesh cultists. Like that's all this is. That's what this is.
I love how he has his like gimp mask on. That's pretty fucking hilarious.
Yeah, like they are everything. They're gonna be all the degeneracy that you would expect. That they put that into the models on purpose. Okay, but that's not the only way. It's not just the goon.
Yeah,
okay?
gamers for the other way. Slaanesh, you mean late stage capitalism, the allegory,
Yes.
soy infused chocolate. Yeah, yeah, you could tell like there's this monstrosity created from.
And it's the newest.
Seeking.
It's the newest. The Dark Prince is what they call Hermaphrodite God. Okay.
But imagine if you had the CRISPR technology to like basically ward off the negative consequences. Like you could like coom infinitely. You wouldn't die of like any sort of weird illness.
It's a great thing to come back to.
Or like even like him, like he wouldn't get blood clots in his leg for not like moving at all. So it's like
but that's part of it, man. That's what you have to understand. The corruption is part of the devotion. The fact that his body is slowly degenerating is part of his devotion to Slaanesh. He is giving all of these things up. It's part of the sacrifice.
Who have, like, extreme like body paraphilias who actually seek pleasure in the fact that their body's failing them.
Like the people ultimate... who fucking pour bleach in their eyes and shit like that.
It's like the ultimate, like Lacanian jeu d'essence. Like it's an intense pleasure seeking to the point where it causes like physical harm to the organism.
That story about the furry with the arms, was that actually confirmed?
Yes, that was probably, that's one example. But there are people who.
But like, Gio, what you just described, that I haven't read that, but what you just described, that seeking pleasure to the point that it becomes pain and that wraps back around, that is the essence of Slaanesh, man. That is the essence of Slaanesh. Is that excess? Yeah. So it's the gooner, and it's also the person like Kobe Bryant, for example, would be a Slaanesh cultist in my opinion, because he's obsessed with winning. He's obsessed with perfection. He's obsessed with becoming the best. He's obsessed with this singular vision to only be the best at this one thing, ultimate, give up everything else for it. That is Slaanesh
like
as well.
Ibushi right now.
Yeah, so it's not just the degenerate in that they're a degenerate like Kumar or something like that. It's all ways of being excessive. You know what I mean? Like,
but isn't that like one of the sons of the God Emperor who you mentioned was like the long-haired guy? I don't remember his name right now.
Yeah, they're all something. The lion is a little bit like that. Well, because they're this is the thing, Lev, is that they're all, the Emperor took the power to make them from the warp. So they're built out of the warp just as much as his power is. It's just the difference between them and him, and it still isn't revealed why properly, is that for some reason the Emperor is okay. The Chaos Gods refer to the Emperor by a specific name. They call him Anathema. Okay, they call him an anathema. That word means to be something's opposite, essentially. To be wholly the it cannot exist without you. Or within you, like chaos cannot be where the Emperor is. He is the anathema to chaos, to demons, to all of them. For some reason, I don't know why exactly that is yet, but he has this power to just sort of like, nope, like it's not here.
And we have a $2 donation from Old Liver Rivers. Would mukbangs be Slaaneshi or Nurgle?
Mukbangs would be. See, this is the fun of chaos: is that you don't have to be just one guy. You can be a Chaos Undivided. You can be all four. You can be a devotee of all of them. But a mukbang would be very much it's both Slaaneshi and Nurglite, because it's excessive. One, it's excessive attention seeking. Two, it's excessive eating, and it's Nurglite because it promotes the stagnation that bloating eating would create, right? It sort of makes people feel like this is good. It makes that wavelength come out, right? So
Well, this is
that's
Nurgle over here, right?
well, this is a Nurgle demon. Yeah, it's a great
boy.
unclean one.
This
Yeah,
looks
this
like
is a
scum-sucking Slimer's father, by the way.
yeah,
So-
absolutely,
God.
absolutely. Scum sucking Slimer. Scum sucking Slimer is a great shorthand for Nurgle. You could just call him that because that's essentially what he is. He is decay. He's a plague. He is he is the entropy, the slow entropy of all things. He will eventually win of all of the chaos gods. He will be the one who becomes dominant at the end of ends. Essentially, Slaanesh is supposed to become ascendant in the warp and become the most powerful god of all of them, and then eventually peter out, and it would be Nurgle who takes over at the end because he is the end. He's the end of things. Then there's the other one.
So this is
go ahead.
Nurgle over here, and so it's like
Well, there's
Nurgle... Yeah.
let's be clear. There's no pictures of the chaos gods. It doesn't work that way. You can't take a picture of a concept,
Oh,
right?
okay.
There are representations of them. That even any image that would be created, even by Games Workshop, would not be a canonical image of the gods of chaos because they don't have. How do you put like you can't say that violence is a person or has a face. You can't say that something like rage is a person or a face.
Well,
it's an energy that is alive.
Well, this is actually very interesting that you bring this up because you have an example of something like Kali, for instance, in Hinduism, Advaita Vedanta. And Kali, she has a way that she looks. Like, this is what Kali looks like, and this is how people worship her. But it's always been strange to me, how can you actually put a form on an abstract concept? That's number one. And number two, when we had Aryan Cowboy on, he was talking about how people are not really meant to see these images, these paintings that were painted in the monasteries of the Tibetan gods, because you're supposed to concentrate, at the beginning at least, on just like the symbol form of them, the yantra. But these forms, they're supposed to be so powerful that if you kind of like start thinking about them and get them in your head, it could be pretty dangerous. So these forms of the gods were not meant for the human eyes to see, yet now thanks to the internet everybody has access to them. So it's always been an interesting thing to me, like, if these gods are so abstract and don't have a body, how come then these warnings are given out and these depictions are painted? What exactly are these depictions then? Are they the gods? Are they not the gods? Are they the way that these particular, let's say, group of people who are living in the Tibetan mountains recognize these thought forms as such? Like, what exactly is going on here?
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's actually part of why I originally wanted to talk about 40K at all. Is the warp itself is such a fascinating way to think about how the astral plane works, and something like Kali, right? I think the Hindus are kind of really good at this, which is it's not that Kali maybe looks like this, but it's the idea that this is the energy that Kali brings forth. She holds these things because this is essentially the symbols are creating an energetic matrix of this thing. What it is, it's the blade, it's holding the severed head of the demon. She's got, each symbol is part of her nature, right? It's like Khorne. I can't explain to you what Khorne is without saying the word blood, without saying the word skull, without saying violence, without saying rage, because that's what Khorne is. More than anything, more than he is his name, he is Khorne is more the sweep of an axe hitting somebody in the throat than he is the name Khorne. You understand? He is more the feeling in your, that, I don't know if you guys have felt this, many of you probably have. You know that if you're really, really upset, that heat haze that you kind of get in your head where feels like you can't think. It's almost like you're feeling red, right?
Like
that feeling?
You sort of have that.
Yeah.
That is the god of blood. That is the god of blood. So that's why I wanted to talk about this. Not because Warhammer 40,000 and Bolters and Space Marines. It's because the gods of chaos are real. It's just that Warhammer 40,000 puts words and symbols on them, but they're real. They are that space. They are the thing that they're that energy, the emotion that makes you do that thing. It's not that it makes you, but it's that you allow it in to control your body almost. When I've been really upset in times where I probably shouldn't have or should be calming down and not being as upset as I am, I felt as though I'm in less control than the people who are asking me to relax or calm down or whatever thing is actually like I'm in less in control than they think I am. You know what I mean? It's almost like this thing is running on its own at this point, right? And not
And
to
you
it's
do
not about
see yourself from the outside sometimes too. It's like,
exactly,
what the fuck am I doing?
exactly, exactly. So this is this idea to me. It's the idea
Mhm.
that these things can take your heart from you. It's like they hollow you out. I said this in my voice notes. Is the way in which corruption starts with the warp is always the same. It's whispers, man. It's whispers in your voice. It's you speaking to you. It's something. You know what, man? Isn't it fucked up that that guy fucking cut you off? You know what you should do, man? You should get out of the fucking car. You should go up to
Commit
his car, bro.
rotary.
You should go
World
grab his
star.
door. Dude, wouldn't it be sick if you got out and you grabbed his door and you opened his door and you pulled him out and you started kicking the shit out of him? That'd be fucking sick. Let's go. Let's go. And what a coronate cultist does is he goes, "You're right." He doesn't say no to the voice. The voice controls him.
But
and
he
he
would
gets
say
out of the
no
car.
to yeah.
He doesn't
But
get.
he
He
would-
doesn't say no to anything but blood, bro. That's that.
No,
or,
but he would
things
say
that
no
don't.
to, let's say, unless he's chaos undivided, as he said, he would say no to more, let's say, sexual
Yeah, that's gay.
provocation.
Yeah, that's
Right?
gay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's not. Part of Khorne is the martial nature. He's the war god as well. So he doesn't. Khorne doesn't care where the blood comes from, right? You could sacrifice chickens to him, and he'd be like, all right. But what he really wants is for you to go find some bad motherfucker somewhere and take his skull. That's what he wants from you. He wants you to go find the most dangerous, scariest, most fucking psychotic thing you could possibly fight and take its head off for him. That's what he wants out of you. So whatever action doesn't lead to that, a coronate cultist will probably not take. But at the end of the day, you know what he's going to do. You can predict these creatures because they're singular in their nature. They want one thing. It's just that they do that one thing so well that it's difficult to stop them.
You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of Berserk. And Noah, are you a fan of Berserk?
I'm unfamiliar.
Okay,
Actually.
so this is definitely something I highly recommend you to look
Wait.
into.
Have you seriously never read Berserk?
Nope.
Holy shit, bro. Read fucking Berserk. Holy fuck. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Berserk as well. Yes, Berserk is Berserk is the manga version of Warhammer 40,000. It's literally everything is horrible forever, and there's nothing you can do about it except fight. Yeah, except fight. You have to fight.
Yeah.
You have to
Noah,
fight.
I'm
today,
seeing images right now, and I'm already into it.
Yeah,
Oh, dude, it's
today
amazing.
or tomorrow,
Krishna tells
just go
you have to
download the
fight.
manga, read the manga. You're gonna be hooked. You're gonna be
I-
reading this thing one after the other.
I most
It is-
certainly will. I most certainly will.
It is impossibly good. It is so good. And Miura sort of gets the same themes here, which is, and again, why I love these settings so much, is that they're ultimately human tales. They're tales about human suffering. They're tales about the lengths people are willing to go for what they believe in and to live, man, to make it so that there's something for the people who come after. Like, I'm reading the Siege of Terra books in the Horus Heresy series right now, and just to get this out of the way, Games Workshop realized, man, I love making money. You know what makes a lot of money? Space Marines. You know what would make a fuckload of money? If we dedicated an entire section of our of our authors, of our lore groups, of our making of the models, everything. We're just going to devote it just to the Horus Heresy, because that's all that Marine players really care about at the end of the day, because it's just about them, right? So let's just make some books about that. And then they did, and they got their really good authors who I think understand the setting really, really well. A lot of these guys I don't agree with politically. They're kind of annoying. When you follow them on social media, I don't really like them as people in that way. They're fine people. It's just that they're annoying, but to me. But at the same time, like, they really get what the setting is about. They understand how to write it properly, right? And it's about you. It's about people. It's about men. It's about our history and the things that make us both bad and good. The worst aspects of humanity and the best aspects of it mashed into one thing. right? That's why I love Berserk as well, right? Berserk is something that's really, really dark, but the brightness shines through, right? It's like the Guts theme. You can't listen to the Guts theme without feeling sad, but also without feeling like, you know what, man, maybe it's gonna be okay. Maybe I can do this. Maybe I might feel like I have nothing right now. I'm literally grasping at the darkness, but the night ends, and there will be a time where the sun comes back up, and maybe I can last till that. Maybe if I last till that, maybe things will be better. And that's what this is about at the end of the day, because I like this setting because it makes me feel like, yes, we are facing insurmountable enemies. It often feels like to be a man is to look into the dark, right? We're looking at something very, very hard. We have to kind of try to keep a species alive through all this shit. And
well, I'm kind of curious.
It can be done.
I'm kind of curious,
like
Noah. Like, what do you think about? Because I think you're the youngest person here right now. You're in your early 20s. What do you think it means to be a man?
Tell me
Is
right now,
one of my
Noah.
To be a
favorite
space marine.
questions. That is one of my favorite fucking questions. It's this is gonna sound dumb as fuck, but I think it's bearing the weight. Is the best way I can put it.
This
Yeah.
is
Bearing
it.
the weight.
Yeah.
That's what being
There
a
it
man
is.
is.
Sacrifice.
Exactly.
There it is.
Where it's like people will
Yeah.
tell you they're like, oh, being a man is this, this, and this. I'm like, no, being a man is suffering and not telling people that you're suffering.
Yeah.
Just taking it, moving on, not letting it fuck
Now, it's
with you.
important. It's
But I think
important to be
it's like
able to
taking-
allow that out and talk about it and allow
Of
it out
course.
within the company of the right people.
But
But
it's
you have to
taking
be
that
able to
suffering
take
and
it.
transforming it into a greater good.
By the way,
Yes.
Gio, your audio is a little bit quiet. I would recommend
Oh.
making it a little bit bigger. Don't
Yeah,
listen to them. Your audio is
Don't
good
listen to
before.
some guy.
Is this
Listen to us
good?
guy. Yes, you're beautiful.
Yes.
Now I
Okay,
can hear your
good.
dulcet
No,
tones.
it's taking that suffering and then transforming it into a positive. I think that's probably,
That's the highest ideal.
but in the context of 40K, why is, I guess the question is, like, because like you hear the lore and you're kind of like spacing out a little. I hate to admit it, but
No, it's okay.
What
it's expansive. Yeah.
yeah,
Why would you be able to take all that in?
But like it seems that there's this mishmash of different strains of world mythologies, from Vedanta to Greek mythos to like the sort of really trying to contemplate like something that's not an idyllic vision of it. But at the same time, what is the purpose of Warhammer 40K in terms of what is the appeal of it? Is it just this sort of like raw worship of power and strength and conquest, or is it there's something greater to this? Like, because there's a lot of like films, like there's a lot of franchises, like for example John Wick is like this postmodern franchise of like just killing for killing's sake, gun fu for its own sake. It's like
Bro, it's sick. No, I know what you mean.
no, but
I know what
like
you mean.
it's
Yeah,
like
go
a
ahead.
it's like the Michael Bayification of Hollywood, right? It's like, you know, explosion,
Yeah, exactly.
explosion. But like but it seems that Warhammer 40K, it's like almost a mythologized will to power. And is that what the appeal is? Is it because it's like one of the only modern franchises that appeals to nerds, but also has like a deeper,
If I may,
it's not like a Marvel fucking cinematic universe. It's more of like, it is nerd culture, but it's a very particular, one could say like reactionary form of nerd culture.
yes,
That
it is. It's almost like it reminds me a bit of. It's not the same because V for Vendetta is like explicitly sort of critiquing this, but V for Vendetta has that sort of like looking at Britain, extrapolating it forward and kind of making a future society out of it, right? And that's kind of what this does. But I think, if I may, the appeal for me, at least, beyond the aesthetics are fun and it's cool and sort of rule of cool, right?
ridiculous and yeah,
and over the top, and that's part of the fun, right? Like I like JoJo for that exact same reason, is that it's fucking ridiculous. It's absurd to a degree that is incredibly enjoyable, right? But Warhammer doesn't do that. It's kind of sincere, right? It's doing it. It believes its own bullshit, right?
it's a mark for itself.
Yeah, it is. And for me, the thing that is most interesting is sort of the ideal duty to something beyond yourself, that is so prevalent as a theme. Like, it's difficult to give these impressions in summations, but it is really difficult to overstate the kind of sacrifice that a character like the Emperor of Mankind is doing. Like, it sounds like it's all fucking bells and whistles because he's just owning all the time, but it seems that way because you don't know the background and the way it catastrophically fails and how he responds. Like, the Emperor is sitting on something called the Golden Throne. Okay, this is also kind of cool Agartha lore. Okay, or that's maybe yeah, it's Agartha or like Shambhala, right? So underneath the Himalayas is a portal to the warp, similar to the one on that planet called Molech, where he makes the bargain.
Molech, interesting.
Yeah, he gains power. He gains
A
great power
Earth?
on Molech. He gains great power on Molech for a sacrifice. He gives something to get, right? Yes. Now,
Moloch and sacrifice.
There's a similar thing, right? There's a portal on Earth, under the Himalayas. Okay, this is why he puts his big imperial palace on top of it. But this portal is going into something that I did not explain, but within the warp, the old ones, part of the reason that they were so dominant in the warp is they had this thing called the webway. It was like imagine a tunnel system through the warp that doesn't touch the warp. Okay, it is safe from the influences of the warp, but it uses it to travel great distances in the way that they would have with their ships, but they just couldn't because they didn't have access to the webway. This was created by the old ones, the frog people, right? So the Emperor knew that this existed, and he was going to use this to make it so that humanity never had to deal with the warp anymore. Like, they didn't have to rely on the warp because he knew that the warp is ultimately a fundamentally corrupting and destructive energy that will always fuck you over. So there's no point in using it. So he was trying to use the webway. But the problem is that, again, the gods of chaos really want to eat humanity, so they are actively attempting to fuck over the Emperor at all times. After he builds a device called the Golden Throne as a last-ditch effort, where if everything fucks up, right, and this gate is going to be breached, the Eternity Gate, he can sit the throne and keep the forces of the warp at bay through just his will.
Holy crap.
Okay. Yeah. And he intended originally for one of the sons that we didn't get to, Magnus the Red, the Cyclops, the sorcerer, the very, very cool and esoteric guy who totally didn't accidentally fuck up completely everything for everyone. Magnus did nothing wrong. So Magnus was supposed to sit this throne for his father whenever his father had to do something else, if it came to that, because Magnus was the only one psychically powerful enough. Yeah, that's Magnus in his corrupted form, where he looks super baller with the wings and shit. But Magnus was supposed to sit this chair, but he couldn't. After the Emperor was mortally injured by Horus, they put him in the chair. One, because it would technically keep him alive, but two, because somebody had to keep the warp out. And yeah. So he is doing that till this day for 10,000 years. Every instant of his life is keeping back hell from invading Earth. And the only way in which this can even be sustained is because the Emperor just cannot continue to do this on his own, man. They sacrifice or burn out in a psychic flame. I think it's like 5,000 psychers a day or 10,000 psychers a day, just to this, to keep him operating. He also lights a light in the warp that makes it so that people can navigate in the warp too. It's called the astronomican. So he's doing this actively. Like, there is this measure of constant suffering that is necessary to literally everyone in this setting. Like, there's sort of like the whole like, I'm doing my part thing in Starship Troopers, right? Where like everyone's doing their part to make sure the world isn't ruined forever, right? And
I think like the normal, like, this is a spicy take. I hope Noah comes back soon, but the this is like this is like counterintuitive to like the vast majority of what we know as like popular nerd culture, because it's all about so I'm about to have a spicy take right now. This is like counter to the vast majority. I would say like Warhammer and Starship Troopers are like sort of the dichotomy from, I would say, a good 90% of all nerd culture in terms of like, since I would say the 80s till now, from like Star Wars to Marvel to whatever, in that it's all reliant upon individual choice, and that you too could become the hero, blah blah blah, and it's like your own individual action is like the crux of what happens.
Yeah.
But here, this is like an extreme form of spiritual theocratic collectivism, because you almost necessarily need to like view humanity in as like a having a greater cosmic whole as a mass, the way that like if you read the Bhagavad Gita, like there is a necessity to the fact that you have your role in life and you know it and you should do it. And there isn't this question of like, what if I'm breaking from the norm and then I'm going to be a hero? Like, it's not this like fake and
in this
Like
fake
narcissistic
in
almost. Yeah.
yeah,
In
like this
doing your
narcissistic
job,
individualism that like
yeah.
American pop culture sci-fi, not pop culture, but like
Well,
American nerd
like in Star
culture
Wars,
sci-fi.
you have Rey, and now
Yeah,
I heard
Rey.
they're
Yes,
supposed to make
yes.
her like stronger than stronger than Darth Vader, or I
Yeah.
don't know.
She's the strongest Skywalker, which is
But
just so stupid.
notice how like the story of Star Wars is like the individual spirit of the like Star Wars is like the American mythology, because it's like the individual
Cowboy.
spirit triumphs over the collective of the evil empire. And well, apparently now they call themselves the resistance against the fucking empire.
Yeah, they call
But isn't
themselves
there a bit of a similarity with the God Emperor, at least? Because that's an individual, and look at how much
but
he was able to accomplish.
but the God Emperor even sacrifices himself for the greater, like,
yeah, and he's
whole-
a special case. He's like there's nothing in Star Wars that compares to him. Like you can't, like, he's Darth Vader times a billion, and he's also not evil. Like,
but also
he
like he's not like a form of emulation. Like the average person in this universe isn't like, even the most highly like skilled space marine isn't going to be like, well, I can be like him. It's not like this ideal of like Superman. Like you are the what's his name, Clark Kent. You are like the Clark Kent within you. It's like, no, it's not this point of like emulation, I guess.
Like,
but this is
the Space Marines have it so that he is technically their gene father. Like the Primarchs are their fathers, and the Emperor is their grandfather as a result. Like he is their genetic primogenitor, right? So they do have that to a degree. They want to embody him, but that's also why the betrayal is so great and why they gain so much power from the warp as a result of their betrayal, because they're literally betraying their father who made them. Like, unironically, like they are the sons who come home and burn it. So they are
reverse prodigal son, basically.
Yeah, exactly. They're the reverse of the prodigal son. That in fact, even that theme is explored obviously with Horus, because Horus is, he's the arch traitor, right? But
and people want you to talk about
setting,
Harlequin as well. So
the Harlequins?
Yeah.
Okay, this is tough because I don't know enough about Eldar lore to be able to properly give you a good explanation of what the Harlequins are. Though I can say this, okay? So Harlequins they're part of the Eldar, but they're like the Eldar live very strict ascetic lives, because the last time that they let it all rip, they created a god out of their horrific murder fucking, right? Like the last time that they allowed it out. The last time that they spring braked, that happened, right? So the Harlequins are the aspect of, and they sort of like, most of their culture is dead, by the way. Like 99% of their race died the instant that Slaanesh was born. The only ones who lived were basically the Eldar version of the Amish. Like they create their own society that is, they're called craftworlds. They're like planet-sized ships that fly out.
So the Slaanesh were born out of like an ascetic race, which is like totally the opposite of their
No, they were
nature?
born. They were the ascetic race became ascetic as a direct result of the birth of Slaanesh because they were not being
Oh, I
ascetics.
see.
So these were the pre-Slaanesh, right? These were
So it's
the
kind
elves.
of like modern day,
Well,
like trad larpers living in our era. They see like
Yeah.
the degeneracy of modern culture, and they're like, "Well, everyone's a gooner now. In some ways, everyone's addicted to Soma, so I'm going to
No,
like
they're
completely rebel."
they are unironically returned to tradition people. Like the Eldar craft worlders. That picture that you put Lev
Mhm.
was not pre. It's post.
Ah.
It's a craft world Eldar,
Hmm.
but pre Slaanesh they would look like this too. Okay, the point is that the Eldar are they're the failed race. They're the guys who they are the first run of humanity, like humanity's run. The reason that the Chaos Gods are so obsessed with destroying the Emperor's machinations is because they know, as bad as the Eldar were, man, as bad as the Eldar were, where they were so depraved that they created the god of depravity, okay, as bad as they would be nothing compared to the Chaos Jubilee that mankind would create. And that's why the Chaos Gods want us so badly. That's why they wanted to ruin the Emperor's plan, because he was trying to basically starve them out, cut off their source, which is us. That was his plan. That was the Emperor's idea. That's why he wanted a secular society, is because he didn't want faith, because faith fuels the gods of chaos, including himself. He could easily become a god of chaos if they praised him too much, which is what's happening, right? But sort of wait, I forgot where this started. Fuck.
And
It
Julian
doesn't
has
matter.
the comment over here. If Lev can find the dark Eldar, he will see what they did to create Slaanesh. So let me
Yes,
see
the
Dark
dark
Eldar.
so look up Drukari, Druk.
There we go.
Yeah, Drukari. That's the Dark Eldar. Okay, so the Dark Eldar are fun. They still live in the webway. Okay, they live in a place called Camorra. It's basically like a 5D impossible city that the entire civilization lives within. And remember what I said about Nostromo? Right, Nostromo being like that planet. It's like Gotham times,
Oh, yes.
Gotham, but
Yes,
the whole
yes,
planet.
yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so remember Nostromo? Camorra is like the Cenobite Hellraiser version of
pleasure and pain mixed
Nostromo.
together. Yeah.
Of Nostromo. Yeah, no, the currency of Camorra is souls and pain. Those are the currencies. Okay, that's how they're Bitcoin. Fuck that, dude. They're operating on your pain, your direct experiences of pain,
It's
and
like
also
if
your soul.
it's
That's how
like
they
if you
barter.
could. It's like Millhouse buying Bart's soul. It's like if someone to like were creating an NFT based on their soul, which I guess someone probably already did that. I guarantee you. It's like if you sold your soul as an NFT, that could be like it.
Wait, Noah, is this something you'd consider? Make some more scratch? The soul of Noah Hugbox? Just put it up there?
I was just about to talk about that. I was like, I've never considered selling, but NFTs have opened that prospect to me. I think it's about time.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And by the
no
way,
Hugbox
My
NFTs.
soul, I'll sell them in hundreds.
Since we're mentioning NFTs, I have a choice right now. So either I'm going to do my NFT stream after this stream, or I do it tomorrow. I think I'm going to vote on doing it tomorrow, just because I'll be able to get some more people in there to have a conversation with, because right now my energy is also, after this one, it may be too much. But
I'm telling, it's too much information, dude. It's
yeah,
like
too much
you need
information.
like a coma.
Yes,
Yeah.
but for those who are interested, you could find me at superrare.com/leftpolyakov. I make my own crypto art, and I am working on a new piece right now, which is this pyramid man called Peer Reminder, and he is a peer reminder. He reminds the peers of certain things. So here is a card that I did before that. This one is called Spikely, and you can purchase this one for 1.5 Ethereum. So here we go. This is Spike Lee over here. This is the animation. See, it's playing over here. And you can get this one on Super Rare. Here is the link. You're going to see the link in the chat. I am advertising. I am shelling my NFTs here because now is the season for doing that. So there we go. I'm going to have a lot more NFTs coming. That was my NFT riff. I just wanted to get that out of the way. And subscribe.
Okay, so-
Subscribe for God's sakes.
Yeah, subscribe, and also every NFT is a Zinchian demon, every single one, and that's my take on that. It's interesting. They're sort of like these weird, like embodied. I don't know. It's strange. It's just art. There's nothing really to it, but it makes people money, so people get butthurt about it. Right? It's like a gift
it's
for
destroying the
Thing.
environment. But
is that the complaint?
That's the argument because of the computing power. But yet, I heard a good counterpoint on Twitter. This person said, the same people that say NFTs are destroying the environment are the same people that have have this, and it was like a wall of Funko Pops. So I guess the plastic that goes into making Funko Pops is also
that's fine.
Predatory to the environment. So
but
that's fine, of course, because that's I wonder the amount of like carbon it takes to smelt when it comes to like to transfer an NFT as opposed to like having a crate of Funko Pops come here from China. I wonder if that.
Noah, do you have any collectibles? I mean, we've seen the map that's behind you. I know you have that map, that beautiful map.
The Paul Watson map.
Yes, but other than that, are there any?
I have been waiting, Gio. I have been waiting so fucking long for somebody to make a joke out of that. Thank you for finally fucking doing that. Holy shit! It has been like 2 years and nobody has made a joke about that.
I wonder. Oh boy.
I don't really have any collectibles, honestly. The closest thing is my own fucking cum jar that I made. Like that's pretty much like
God.
I got no fucking collectibles. I wish I did.
Well, no, it's an actual collectible. It's like an action figure of Noah inside of a cum jar.
I got one over here. Let me show it off.
Yes. For those who are not aware, Noah, very popular man.
There's no cum in this jar, right?
Yes. At a certain point, you rise in popularity so much that the following happens, and here it is.
Oh my god!
This is what we all have to look forward to.
Holy crap! Oh my god!
I made it, and I was like, "This is a whole like meta joke about internet culture and the way that they view creators, all these different things." Nobody got it. They were like, "Hi, it's funny. He's in a cum jar," and I was like, "Yeah, sure." Fucking great.
Slaanesh cum jars.
I called the initial sketch of it.
What is that? You just come in a jar for hours, and then you put a toy in it, and then maybe see this is let me explain. This is how you would do a classic summoning of a chaos demon. Okay, come in a jar like 100 times. Okay.
There were tribal mystery cults that had. That would utilize semen for various purposes, from the east to Africa and everywhere.
Well, with the warp, all of this stuff, it's all about symbolism. It's all about what's the meaning of things, right? So anything that has meaning has power in this situation, right? So if you just you masturbate in a jar a bunch of times, maybe you get something precious to you, the blood of something precious to you, okay, and then maybe.
Obviously,
maybe some like teeth for permanence.
More points if you kill whatever's precious to you, right? That's
of course, yes.
It's always
the most important thing to remember is that they always desire some sort of it has to be perversion, atrocity. That's what they like. They want you to like kill your mom. They want you to like eat your children or something. Just the worst thing you could do. The most
death metal thing you could do.
Yeah, the most blasphemous, the thing that is the most unpalatable to people is the thing that they want you to do, essentially.
I mean, the one thing that's missing from this whole lore is furries. They should really have like.
Well, no, they have wolf.
No, they're not. No,
close.
No, there's furries. No. Okay, yeah. So the space wolves have There's mutants. There's mutants.
Okay.
There are. Yeah, they call them abhumans or beastmen. The Emperor doesn't like mutants, and mutants are one of the things that are kind of persecuted rather severely. They just they cull them or whatever, right? Yeah, so they don't allow for mutants, but the mutants still exist. So there are literal furry people. Also, like
well, here's a goat man.
Yeah, goatmen. Goatmen are a great example. That's the classic beast man. Is the goatman.
Well, that's a satyr.
But did they evolve to be like animal men, or did they like genetically modify themselves to be?
No, they're aberrant mutant genes. So they would be they're born in like they've mutated to become that way. They weren't made that way on purpose. Nobody wants abhumans.
Oh,
Let's put it that
see.
way. Nobody wants, not even abhumans want to be abhumans. Nobody wants that. They're another type of abhuman called ogrins. Like
Yes.
ogre. Yeah, ogrins are cool. In the new game that's coming out, it's called Darktide, by the guys who made the Vermintide games. Darktide, one of the characters is going to be, like one of the playable characters is going to be an ogrin, because ogrins are cool, man. They're just like these kind of giant, really dumb, you know, the war effort uses their strength and ability to absorb punishment and general kind of stupidity to get things done, because they're useful in that regard. Yeah, it's again, it's rather dark. It's super. Everybody's being press ganged into the same service, which is keeping everybody alive. But it's kind of seems like kind of the point of 40K is like, okay, this is becoming extremely like this is a meat grinder. Like, what's the point of this? Is this going to end at some point? and that's part of the fun, is trying to figure out how they're going to do that. Like, where is the universe going to go? The plot has moved forward. Things have happened. Like Cadia fucking this. I can't explain why that matters, but Cadia is like, Cadia fell. My God, right? So things are happening. You know, they're starting to figure out what the fan base kind of wants. We were saying about the SJWs earlier that there was like there's a way for them to infect. Like, they're trying to do female space marines. I think it's just the stupidest thing ever. Like, you already have Sisters of Battle. You don't need this. It's just, would literally just
technically female space marines, like, they could exist if, like, you can modify people to have these abilities.
They literally can't exist.
But why can't they? We're doing a reverse debate right now. I'm an SJW comic person, and why can't they exist?
So why can't they exist?
Yes.
Because in universe, the surgery they tried, the things that you have to do to a body don't take on women. It works on men and not women.
Isn't that gender essentialist?
Yeah, sorry. But guess what? You can go join the Imperial Guard. You want to die for the Emperor? Go join the Imperial Guard. It'll be great.
Do the Imperial Guard have homosexual sex or no? Or is that completely no?
It literally, no one cares. None of this shit matters. You could write the most homosexual Imperial Guardsman ever, and he would be totally canon, because nobody gives a shit. There are more important things happening than whether you fuck people in the ass. There are
not getting eaten
monsters.
by a demon. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, they're
not getting eaten by a demon. Yeah.
Like, that's the point. Is that people don't have time to worry about this shit.
Bigger fish to
fry. Real
problems.
Yeah, they're real problems.
I think like that's what this is what pisses people off. A certain like group of people that like occupy these verified checkmark spaces that write for pop culture, like, I don't know, writers for Kotaku,
and then just ruin them from the inside. Yeah,
but I think what pisses them off even more is the fact that it is kind of not that it's like like ultra space cosmic fascism, the likes of which H.P. Lovecraft could never imagine, but it's more of like the fact that it's apolitical, the fact that you can't shoehorn in the narrative itself is very much unforgiving in terms of like putting in some type of like linchpin of whatever race or political or sexual issue is involved. Like it's not like a Marvel, like it's not like a super. I know I'm picking on
there's no time for self-actualization, right?
Exactly. Like there's no moment of like the superhero like affirming their identity or whatever. It's not.
Yeah, no, there's no time.
It's bigger than that. It's bigger picture.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's more realistic in that way. That's what's so striking to me about 40K is that it's almost is more realistic.
If you were confronted with cosmic horrors and you had the ability to fight back, then I think this is what probably would happen. It wouldn't be
exactly.
Is there even any nations left on Earth? Or is it just like there was a period of warlords and that was it?
Well, no. So all of the okay, for example, like
what happens to the races and the peoples and the cultures?
Yeah, let me explain that. This is part of the fun, right? So I've been reading the Siege of Terra books, and they're really interesting because it's all about Earth, because that's what's like Earth is being fucking invaded by the traitors. Like it's happening. It's finally happening. The war is coming to a head, right? These books are very interesting because, one, like Noah was just saying, the realisticness is so like present. There's like plot points are logistical problems, like how long it takes to do things. You know what I mean? That stuff is important in war, because at the end of the day, war isn't talking about war. War is bullets flying through the air. It's a physical thing that actually has to happen. And therefore, if you don't figure this stuff out as a writer, especially the audience, like the 40K audience, we just call bullshit instantly. Oh, that's impossible. You're just making stuff up now, dude. You're just writing things because you don't know how to solve this. But okay, so Earth, the Emperor, he unites Earth, but by the way, he's still a Earth-a-boo. Like, I don't know how to explain. He's like a humanity-a-boo. He's like, he just loves man. So he has no problem with the old, like, nations and peoples maintaining themselves. Just don't rebel, because if you do, I'll fucking burn you to the ground. But I don't want to. I like you guys. So Albia is still a thing, meaning there's England, right?
Wow, interesting they call it Albion. That's like
no, Albia.
Well,
yes,
still, it's like that's the
let's fucking go.
A dog
exactly.
whistle.
Let's fucking go. Let's fucking
Holy
go.
crap.
Albia, right? So Albia, that still exists. The Himalaya, that's what they call the sort of area of the Eurasian steppe and China, right? The Dragon Nations, which is Japan and Korea.
Wow.
The Americas are essentially just like a crazy hive situation of just like, it's Brazilification times a billion.
I was gonna say it's just LA. It's just all LA.
It's just Rio de Janeiro. Like, that's what it is,
shit.
right? And the oceans are gone, but there are hives all across the ocean trenches. Like, where essentially where the oceans would actually flow into, and where the continental shelves are, all of that space is occupied. Also,
wow.
they're building downward, so people live underground just as much as they live
hundreds of
above
thousands
ground.
of feet, like down.
Yes.
How do they survive without water?
Yeah, what happens to water?
Oh no, it's all done. So, bro, they figure it. First of all, they're people. They figure it the fuck out. Stalactites. Well, they figure out how to get water down there. All of these things are done. There's still an administration of people. The armies are just the people fighting. There are millions of people doing paperwork. There are trillions of people doing all of the stupid rubber stamping menial tasks that you don't want to do, and they're never going to be discussed.
There's millions of rogues.
Isn't it like incredible technology to just lost all the time because the library is big and they just can't find it again? They just file it away somewhere and they're like, shit, I fucking forgot.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff like this where there's more being lost than could ever even be recovered. Like,
wow,
it's just falling apart, but it's somehow being maintained by pure just pluckiness and will, and the willingness to put one's own self on the line for the thing. Like, that's what, at the end of the day, this is like, the reason I love it is that it's the fucking last stands. It's the people deciding, I know I'm going to die, but I'm about to die for everyone else. Dying for the Emperor is dying for man. It's dying for everybody around you. It's dying for the people to your left and right. It's dying for the guy in the fucking orbit who's commanding, and it's dying for the guy who's 5 feet in front of you who died 10 minutes ago. That's what it's about. We're all dealing with the same fucking. But at the end of the day, when the orcs invade, it doesn't matter how rich or poor you are. The orcs are going to chop you in half. They don't care. Okay, so you have to figure this out. You're gonna have to. Like, yeah, all the politics and stuff like that, that's fun. That's there. Like, I can recommend books, by the way, about this stuff that can illustrate all of these things that are properly, these things are given their proper time. The Eisenhorn series I have mentioned before by Dan Abnett. The Eisenhorn series is amazing because it's from the perspective of a inquisitor, okay, named Gregor Eisenhorn. Eisenhorn is a fucking badass, but he's also kind of a normal person. And it's done in first-person perspective, so you're really seeing the inside of this man's head as he's dealing with these things. And it's cool because as an Inquisitor, he has access to everything. There's no part of society that he cannot brute force his way into, literally just by showing, like, his badge, essentially. Inquisitors can do anything and go anywhere. So, but he's the kind of inquisitor that works with the populace, so you get to really understand the politics and culture of imperial worlds and how they work. Another great book, it's in a series about a character named Ragnar Blackmane, who's a wolf, space wolf, but it's the first 40K fluff book that I ever read. It's called Wolfblade by William King. Now, this book is fucking sick because it's about a space wolf who, because he dishonors something, he fucks up, he's being censored, and he's sent to Earth to do his sort of like tour of shame. He's essentially reduced to a glorified bodyguard on Earth. Yeah, that's the book, yo. Holy shit, man. Blast in the past. I was like 12. But this book is amazing because it takes place on Earth, and it's about a space marine sort of, he's never been to Earth. He barely even knows what Earth is like. This is the first time he's ever been there, and it's such a shock for him to deal with Earth. And it's also, there were very few space marines on Earth since the Heresy. Like, the last time that there were a mass amounts of space marines on Earth was the Heresy, because it's such a traumatic event for the human race that they don't really like seeing space marines after that on Earth. It just makes them, it puts bad taste in their mouth.
So
right?
I'm assuming like there's like the population explodes again. So I'm assuming there's like some like concept.
Oh, there's a bounce back. Yeah, no, there's a complete bounce back.
But I'm assuming like there's still like well, how is like any sort of like social situation? Like, is there marriage, or is there like some collective thing?
Well, it depends. Obviously, again,
like
remember,
some kind of
it's class based, right? So one thing is present for one part of society, and another thing is present for others. People still do marriage, and people do all kinds of weird shit. You know what I mean? All of those things can be present. But it, you know, there are still nobility families. There are still all of the politics.
So there's still like bloodlines and things like that are keeping
part of the annoyance of uniting Earth in the first place was the fact that the Emperor had to deal with the entire human history's worth of annoying politics in the form of families and all kinds of people. You know, they're like, listen, like, imagine you have. Like even the Martians, okay, let's use Mars as a great example, right? They're the tech guys. They're essentially your mechanics, right? They make sure your guns shoot and your cars move and your tanks fire and all that stuff. But they weren't just like, okay, fine, we're gonna, you know, bow to you because you're so scary. They were like, well, we have more than enough guns to fight you if you really want to fight. Do you want to fight? And the Emperor's like, no, I don't really want to fight you guys. It's a massive waste of time. How about we just do like a treaty of some sort? And Mars was like, okay, cool. So that's how they did it. It's not like they're not vassals of him. In a way they are, but they're not vassals in that full regard. There's more of a parity in that relationship between Earth and Mars. This kind of thing, these kinds of politicking had to be done on Earth as well, and has to be done on every imperial world because they're all different. The government, essentially, the administratum of the imperium, that is the thing that is the overarching, you know, communist state that runs the whole place. You have to that's who you're giving your tithes to. That's who you're answering to in all matters of imperial law. But but the imperium doesn't really care about your customs. They don't give a shit what you do outside of that. If you want to be nobility that all dresses in gold all day every day, and you know only you know marries in the family, and you know the mothers marry the sons or whatever the fucking weird dumb shit that they do, they don't care as long as you send your taxes and you send men for the armies.
So you can still have like your own customs and culture, but it's just like
absolutely.
Oh, I see.
Absolutely.
As long as there's like, so it is kind of like Starship Troopers. There's this like overarching like communist or fascistic state or administratum, but yet on the ground there's still like politics that can continue as normal. But it's just like as long as you pay respect and your dues to like this greater purpose of like why there's this galactic empire imperium.
Yeah, exactly. It has like an example of this is Ultramar. Ultramar is a section of the galaxy that the Ultramarines are part of. It's part of the reason why people don't like Ultramarines, because
Ultramarine, that's actually a color in paint, right, Jim?
Yes, Ultramarine blue.
It's a color, right? Yeah, but that's their color, right? That's what they're painted in, is Ultramarine blue. So the Ultramarines have this whole swathe of space called Ultramar, right? And they have their sort of particular, very Grecan, you know what I mean, like a Romanesque, patrician, you know, lots of fucking columns and arches and stuff like that in their, you know, in their society. They're very much the senatorial, consular society. But something like Cadia is a completely different planet. Something like Baal Secundus is a completely different planet. Something like they all have completely different contexts.
Wait, what would you say? Baal Secundus? That's what it's called?
Baal Secundus. So
Secundus.
the second Baal, or Baal Secundus, right? Baal Secundus. All of these planets have different contexts, different ways of dealing with things, different even governmental structures. But at the end of the day, they all bend the knee to the same idea, because ultimately, if you start causing problems, that's when the big dick swings down upon you. Like that's when you get destroyed, because the Imperium doesn't have time to waste with your stupid rebellion. What if there's another problem in this area soon? We don't have time for this. We are going to come down on you way overkill. Just end it. Like this is the philosophy. Is just end the problem.
By the way, who is this guy over here with the mask?
Let me see up close. Sorry, one sec. That is what's his name? He's the chapter master of the Blood Angels currently. He's kind of a Dante. That's his name, Dante.
Because he looks like this guy.
He kind of looks like
Morrowind.
he kind of looks like
right.
He actually does. Yes,
Oh, wow.
He looks like Mervin's Dagon. That's funny. But that's cool. Dante's cool. He's an interesting character. He doesn't really talk that much because he has like a vow of silence going on. The Blood Angels are interesting. They're very emo, and they have like vampire theming.
Yeah.
Oh wow, vampire emo! Holy crap, that's
Well, yeah,
no way. That's
wait,
like
wait,
my
wait.
immortal
Speaking,
type of.
They
hold
literally
on,
drink
hold on.
blood.
This is actually very important. I got to do a plug. The beautiful art that we have on the thumbnail. This was made by Princess Disarmonia, and I want to share her Twitter over here. And I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful
amazing.
for her putting her stuff, letting us use her work. So
Yes,
this is her Twitter over
I
here.
highly recommend. Listen,
Yes.
as a diehard fan and as a kind of a purist, especially with Space Marines and what they look like more than anything, because it's difficult to get that right. She is the best of any artist that I've ever seen who can do this consistently.
And she's
She's
got an interesting,
so good.
She's got an interesting goth look to her. She's got the
Yeah, I think she's
piercings over there.
Ukrainian. I
She
think
is
she's
Ukrainian,
The
Ukrainian.
cheekbones. That's how you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, yo,
there you
she's
go.
got those cheekbones, son. She looks. You know what? She looks like she could be from Nostromo, the planet
That's
that Conrad
exactly
created.
what I was about to say.
And she knows it, and she knows it. She plays into it. Night Lords are one of her favorite legions, as they should be. She draws amazing Night Lords. Basically, any character that she has drawn, if you want to see what they would look like, just go look at her version, because it's basically perfect. I cannot say enough good things about. This is one way that I am. When I find people who are making shit that's actually good, that's 40K related, I will endlessly plug them, because they're so I'm so thankful for them. You know what I mean? Like the guy who made the Astartes animation, that is ridiculous. The first time I saw that, I was like, look at this shit. Look how good this shit is. Look how good this shit is, son.
God
oh my
damn.
God. Her Fulgrim, I was like, that is the best drawing I've ever seen of Fulgrim. I can't look at that Ultramarine. Look how
That's
what
holy
an
shit,
alpha he
yeah.
is.
That's White Boy Summer right there.
Yeah.
BJ Blazkowicz looking ass.
Look, seriously, he's just BJ Blazkowicz. That's every Ultramarine looks like that. By the way,
Oh, there's
she-
doggos like that are attached to Ultra, like they have pets.
no,
There's a dog
some of
next
them,
to that one.
Some people I think just have commissions and she draws them how they want. But
I
the
see.
wolves, the space wolves definitely use wolves. They use like those guys are just they're nutty.
Well, that was
They
kind
do
of like
it.
the original Robert Seffer. Like he explained how the legend of the werewolf comes from people who were taming wolves, and they were using actual wolves for like battling, I guess, the Pokemon of its day. So
I think,
That was like
I
that
think you
one
would,
Call of Duty game. That was like a perk you could get. You could like, release
Yeah, the dogs.
dogs.
Yeah, you can do the attack dogs, or Far Cry Primal, which is you playing as like a Paleolithic man. You can that game is actually really cool. It's like an FPS, but you're a caveman. It's like really, it's kind of interesting. You can like tame wild animals and shit like that. It's kind of cool.
If you had a wild animal, Noah, that you would like tame, which one would it be? Out of all the animals.
Out of all the animals, well, I mean, honestly, a bear in terms of pure utility and killing power. I mean, not only is it a mount, but it's also a killing machine. But realistically, like, a pet fox seems pretty fucking cool to me. I know that they bred them in Russia to actually be domesticated, and that's fucking crazy. They just seem like nice pets, but
yeah,
a bear probably.
Or yeah, that I would probably go for like a guardian bear protecting the family, you know, in case things get bad. It's always good.
It's like having a German Shepherd, but like 10 times the size, you know?
Yes.
By the way, are you a Pokemon fan, Noah? Do you play Pokemon?
I never really did, honestly. The only Pokemon experience that I have is fucking Pokemon Leaf Green on the Game Boy Advance when I was a kid. It's like the only experience. I enjoy it, but it was just
Zoomer,
like,
dude?
Right? Well, the thing is that people that I grew up with played Pokemon. I just never was one of them. I was always a fucking like Halo kid. Like I was always gaming.
That's actually pretty based actually. To resist the Pokemon menace, like
I've been based since I was born. I came out the womb based.
I can tell. You're a fellow White Scars appreciator, dude. Enjoyer.
Truly.
White Scars enjoyer. Yeah. Yeah.
I got taste. But I think Pokemon definitely has its merits. I would honestly like. I'm sad that I missed the boat on it. Frankly, it seems pretty fucking cool. But the games are fire.
We're starting from the very beginning now. I'm starting a live stream playthrough of Pokemon Red version, not even Fire Red, like the Game Boy one. And I'm doing that on the stream. And we had Remus, we had Geo there, we had Masked Bastard Charles Khan. So anytime, I think we're going to be doing it on Mondays. And I think we're going to do it this Friday as well after Free for All Friday. So if you want to come by, I would love to have you.
Absolutely.
Excellent. So I think now would be a good time for some Q&A. Noah, do you have any questions for the great Remus? I mean, you see this as a man of much knowledge, of much lore when it comes to Warhammer 40k. So
I've been waiting for this.
Before we conclude, this is the portion where you get to pick his brain and whatever you want to ask.
I was going to say, Remus, my number one question here is, what resources should I be looking to gain more knowledge? Because your knowledge has blown my mind today, I must say.
Okay. Well, first of all, you can't supplant the
it's like if we did a wrestling stream with me.
Yeah, right.
It's coming.
We will do that. We will do that. Yeah. I think the best resources that I can always recommend for everybody. And listen, I don't work for fucking Games Workshop. Go pirate all this shit. Find it all online.
Go
download
pirate
everything.
Fuck them.
Download everything that they've ever made. I don't care. The point is,
they're a heartless, evil corporation.
It's not that. It's that they fucking charge you out the ass.
Yeah.
I get it.
And by the way, in the future, how long till we have a 3D printing on mass scale of these little figurines?
Don't they already have like 3D printing?
Yeah, they already. People are already starting to do this. I'm going to get to this. Okay, so first resources are the source material. Black Library books are usually pretty good. That's their publishing company. And the codexes are always going to give you the best information about any of these factions and armies, because that is the source of all the material. Okay. But outside of that, if you're on the internet and you don't want to fucking buy Games Workshop stuff, here are some great resources. Do not use the fandom wikia website for Warhammer 40,000 because it's terrible and ugly and also pretty fake and gay. Okay? The good one is the Lexicanum. Okay? Lexicanum. You can look it up. It's very easy. Lexicanum. Everything is pseudo like Latin when it comes to the Imperium. Okay, as you may have noticed from the word Imperium. Yeah. So the Lexicanum is a fan-made, and it's existed for a long time, a fan-made wiki that is designed to literally compile almost everything. I could never give the amount of information that is. This is Wikipedia, but for Warhammer 40,000. Every faction, characters, planets, weapons, war gear, everything you could want, it's all there. Okay.
Do you think that Nick Land knows about Warhammer 40K? I'm sure people have mentioned it to him. Probably.
Maybe it's.
Oh, that would be amazing.
And we'll talk about the warp. Okay, so
the warp is
Lexicon
essentially
amazing.
like our acceleration, pretty much.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly. Okay,
it's Fang Numina. That's what the warp is.
I noticed that I noticed I muted myself, so I'm gonna say it again. Nick Land, come on the fucking show. Come on BTR. It's about time. Anyway, okay.
So outside of the Lexicon, which is an excellent resource, there's a couple of YouTube channels that I would recommend that are really, really, really good. My personal favorite, just for entertainment, is a guy named Major Kill. He's an Australian dude who
Major Kill.
Major Kill. Yeah, he makes tongue in cheek kind of like he gives explanations of the lore, but he does them in a way that are funny and not just like information dumps that are hard to keep track of. He keeps you entertained. Makes sure that you understand the gist of these things and sort of the memes of the way in which the fans understand these characters and settings and all that stuff. But he still makes sure that you understand the truth of it. And he clearly loves the setting, and he's a funny guy. He's risque. He's kind of slash our guy slash. You know, I mean, he makes fun of the other YouTubers that he doesn't think are good, and he's willing to sort of be risky and fun in the space, and that's fun. Another really good channel is called Ocula Imperia. This probably a lot of these guys are British. I think that's just the case. But Ocula Imperia is probably my favorite for a pure lore sense, because this guy is he's doing it right, which is he's presenting himself and the channel as a character within the setting. So he is giving the and he's doing it well. He's giving the perspective of a devoted citizen of the Imperium and their opinions on all of the aspects of lore. And he's like think of him like some guy. He's basically a librarian within the Imperium who's recording all of this stuff for posterity, right? That's kind of the Oculus Imperia vibe. It's really, really good. I really like his channel. He does a really good job. He the current stuff, the past stuff, he's kind of working his way through everything. He makes really good shit. Outside of that, I'd say maybe there's some pretty good Twitter accounts, mine. But it's not just that. There's a lot of.
I mean, here we gotta promote you, because you have been just a rock star today. This is amazing. The amount of lore that you know and how you were talking about this. I mean, this is one for the books. Definitely this BTR episode. Follow him on Twitter. Anetheel. Here it is. Everybody who's watching this. Anetheel.
Yeah.
Now, what does Calth mean? Is this related?
Okay,
to
40K? Let me give a quick overview. Calth is a planet. Calth was a jewel in Ultramar. It was a beautiful planet with tons of potential. And in the Heresy, it was the Ultramarines didn't get the betrayal that everybody else got. They got a real personal one by their sort of rivals as a legion, the Word Bearers. And the way in which they did it was a really heinous war crime-esque stab in the back at a planet called Calth. They so thoroughly devastated Calth that they killed the sun. Basically, they shot the sun with lance beams and fucked with it so badly that they accelerated the sun's life cycle forward, so it spews out massive amounts of radiation at the planets around it.
Wow! So they rigged the sun to like basically kill off their enemies.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No, the what happens at Calth is probably outside of some very specific events, it's probably the most heinous events. Like, it's so fucked up what the Word Bearers do at Calth. And both of the characters that I've taken on Twitter are characters that are directly involved in this battle, the Battle of Calth, and they're kind of the Marines that keep it together the best and try to rally everybody around, sort of a defiance and resistance. And, that's something that I aspire to and want to embody, is the ability to, even when literally the world is falling apart on you and dying, and your brothers, the people that you have swore to always, no matter what, defend and protect, and they would be by your side and you would be by theirs, they stab you in the back. Like that, it's an inspiring tale because it's just indomitable will, right? And that's why Cal, to me, is emblematic of, I don't know, kind of like the impact that I want to have, which is refusing to give, and letting something evil know that even though it has just done repugnant, horrific, disgusting things, you look it in the eye and you go, fuck you. It's on now, boy. You just made an enemy that you did not want. And that's the kind of energy that I think that we have to bring.
Absolutely,
that's what Cath is all about. But I just want to say briefly at the end here, this setting is for everybody that wants to get into it. If you have any questions about it, feel free to ask any of your friends that you know who like it. If you want to ask me, that's fine. I may not be able to answer literally every single question that you may ask me, but I will try. But remember, ultimately, this isn't about a tabletop game or nerd shit or whatever. It's about realizing that you are in a war with spirit. You are in a spiritual war, and at some point, you are going to have to recognize that you are in this war and begin to fight it. And the best thing, I think, to help motivate you in the face of something very, very dark and large is that it's coming for all of us. And the men beside you are your best resource, because they are the only one who's going to be there, man. When shit gets dark, the guy beside you will be there with you in it. And we have to take solidarity in that with each other, right? So that to me, it's about it's about us. It's about making sure that we don't fucking fail, and the fire that we have been attempting to keep for the entirety of the history of mankind, trying to make sure that we don't die, putting up walls, all of it. It's all about making sure that there's something for the ones who come after. And if it's not about that, then I don't know what we're even doing, you know?
And when you're facing this potential problem up ahead, I don't think it matters whether you happen to be a Sneed or whether you happen to be a Chuck.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, you're going to you're going to be doing your farmer's walks of destiny forward, onwards. And this brings me to the last thing, which is patreon.com/breaktherules. Guys, we are building up something very special here, and one of the treats that you are going to get for $50 patronage tiers, and I'm starting from 50 because this is about Warhammer. Jules Hamilton painted these beautiful Warhammer figures. He painted them when he was real young. And
actually, let me actually take over right here real quick.
Sure.
This is important, okay?
Yeah.
These are old edition Scout Marines. You guys don't actually even understand how precious these are. This is the kind of shit that all kids would start with, man. This is like the beginnings of somebody's childhood. The amount of love and care Jules must have put into these as a young person, making them for himself, the time that it takes to learn, the time that it takes to feel like you can even paint them at all. These are blessed artifacts, and the fact that Jules is
journey of
Jules
exploration.
The fact that Jules is giving them away is incredibly special, and I think that everyone who receives one of these is incredibly lucky. And for the future, because these run out, right? There won't be. He won't have these old school models that he had from the past forever. So he will be making new ones, or painting new ones, and painting new kind of stuff. And I'll make sure that I send Jules the right painting resources, because that kind of stuff exists too for the tabletop enthusiasts, and make sure that he has some sick ass paint jobs for you guys that you're going to receive from your amazing $50 contributions to the BTR Patreon. Anyway, take it away.
That is all. I couldn't have said any better myself, man. Patreon.com/breaktherules. This is what you're going to get for the $50 tier. There's a limited amount of these figures right now, but there's going to be more, and there's going to be more prizes, more perks as we journey into this whole thing, building it up. I mean, I want to have live BTR events coming up soon in the White Boy Summer. I think we're gonna I
White
mean,
Scar Summer Boys.
yes, I mean, Remus, we talked about this a bit off
We're gonna have
the
Black
off the
Queens,
air,
too.
and I'll let Noah Hugbox know as well about certain plans that I have here. But afterwards,
And also subscribe to
yes.
Noah's channel as well.
Absolutely,
But everyone probably
yes.
already
Thank you.
has.
Noah Hugbox, yes.
Are you having any more? Are you planning any more videos really soon, Noah?
I have a big video I've been working on for about 2 months now. It's on
Oh,
stan culture and the way that kids are manipulated on the
Holy
internet and all that sort
shit.
of stuff. And
Amazing.
that's
Amazing.
It's getting
desperately
finished up.
needed.
exactly.
though?
That's why I've taken my time with it. Is
What-
honestly, this is probably the biggest video I've ever worked on, like in terms of like the amount that went into it, and it's. I'm very glad to have it in the final stages right now. It feels good.
I'm proud of you, brother. You make real good content.
need-
You make
you
good
need
I
help
shit.
appreciate it, man.
If you need help with
Yeah.
it, brother, don't be afraid to shoot it by us.
I'd absolutely love to talk to you
Yeah.
about the script, actually, Gio. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sure. I could give you some stuff.
You know what I will say though? You got to stand the Emperor. Got to stand
Of
the
course.
Emperor. He's the
That
one
was why-
you're
that was
allowed.
why-
There you go.
That was why Big E was my profile picture on Twitter for so long.
That's-
And then
Oh,
switched to the
that's
Joker.
right.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
It was because I was
Yeah.
like, it was all this shit that was going on. It's a long story. Everything that I was going
He's
through with
just
everything.
too
I was like,
base
you know
for
what? I
words.
feel like I'm on the fucking golden throne right now. I'm the one fucking
Let's-
keeping chaos at bay.
Even
Let's
like
go.
what
I love
happened
it.
recently, some people tried to cancel. No, I know this is fucking Twitter bullshit.
Listen,
but
it's the end of the stream. That's
someone
what we do.
tried.
Go
They
ahead.
tried to go after you or something, Noah, for some stupid joke.
They always go after me. It was because here's the thing: is I kind of rile them up because I've been working on this video.
Oh,
But
boy.
there was a fucking Minecraft streamer that dressed like a Persona fan.
Oh my
and-
god!
and-
Yeah,
yeah.
And Justin Wang got
Yeah,
him.
and I replied to it with just
Hello,
base
Daddy,
because I
or
was like, "Wow, what a
something, yeah.
fucking cringe lord!" And then they were all like, "You're
Oh,
you're
man.
sexualizing him." I was like, "Where did I sexualize him? I
Oh
just
my
said base."
God.
And then they
It-
just kind of proved my point. It
I
was
kind of
funny.
I think it's kind of like really fucked up how someone who's 15 years old has like a tweet that gets like 200,000 likes or some 300,000 likes. It's just I don't know. You really
They have so little power too. It's kind of funny.
yeah.
Where
but
it's like that's why I started the "I'm the king" thing. It's like every time they try and say something, I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm the
Oh
king,"
man.
and they
But
just
that's-
don't know what to say to that.
Exactly. He's like, but I don't care. Like that's
But
the
that's what I
ultimate.
mean. I feel like
Yeah.
a lot of this stuff going on with like streamers, it's just like I don't know, man. Like
See,
I-
think about it this way, right?
I don't
What's
think
better?
you can have
What's
like
better?
a worldview by the time you're 25 years old, let alone
You can't.
like 15. Like
Hmm.
man.
Well,
Like,
Remus,
dude,
you
what's-
had
what's
this
better?
example on VR chat that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah. Actually, I love one of the reasons I like VR chat is because there's some really good Space Marine avatars, so you can feel that power. You know what I mean? But and also, I like it because it's like kids are so dumb and annoying and stupid. You know what I mean? Like they could tend to be like they're so.
We were all like
they have
that at
this-
one point.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
saying that I wasn't. That's by no means right. I definitely was. I mean myself as well, right? There's this obnoxiousness of youth, right? And it's cool in VR chat the fact that you can kind of like completely disarm this, like because it's just I don't care, like it's not relevant. We aren't in the same room, so I do not actually have to care about any of your social, like, hang out, like any of the social wars. We can just be people towards each other, so you can just talk to people in a way that's much more candid. Like they're much more willing to be honest and talk seriously. And I've often found that a lot of these kids, these young kids, right, even the ones with like, they know, it's like they're doing a dance. They know what to say because they're all living within the weird like SJW world. Like they live that life, so they can't like call kids gay. That sucks. That you can't just say like, "Ha, you're gay."
It's not like when we were on the school
get
year, we
owned.
were calling each
Yeah.
other gaylords like every second word.
constantly, man. When I found out the F slur in 6th grade, man, I said that shit so many times.
all the time.
Literally, it was like my favorite word.
There was this one tweet that blew up. This guy was a teacher in England, and a student called him gay. And I had a tweet in reply that got some pretty good numbers where I'm like, literally like 10 years ago when we were kids in the schoolyard, well, more than 10 for me, but like literally like, you know, kids just called each other that all the time. And the dude like obviously blocked me. Like he individually went through everyone trolling him, and like
I cannot stand adults that can't handle being insulted by kids. Like it's just
that's what I mean. Like it's like that woman on TikTok. It's like literally this like
Janny.
literally aging millennial.
It's Janny culture. It's like trying to
Janny,
get people in trouble
it's the Janny in your head. There's this one who I'm referring to is this woman on TikTok who now she's getting her comeuppance though because she's getting owned. She's getting doxxed herself. But she basically was trying to ruin people's lives for making jokes on the internet, like about the vaccine passport or whatever.
A teenager made a fat joke on Twitter, and she found his school. Lives and shit as like just as a goof, like just being. And just then
you know what the audacity?
That's what she did
you know
today.
What the real fucked up thing was is that she had the nerve to say at the beginning of the TikTok that no, I know the kid's 15 years old, so I have to approach this really cautiously. But here's his school.
Here's his name.
Here's where he lives. It's like, what are you talking about? And so now 4chan got the scent, and now they're doxing her and her family. So that's. Bellissimo. Don't do unto others what has been done to me, right? Like don't expect people to spare you. Right? Exactly. When you become a ghoul, don't expect other ghouls to use the same tactics against you. But I think that's really indicative of our. I think in particular TikTok breeds that type of culture because it really is a hive mind of people that left Tumblr and Reddit.
And these preachers, I keep seeing these preachers on TikTok. You know, with the
God, they're the worst.
You mean preachers like an actual like a religious preacher or like a just? Like
I don't even know if they're religious.
Like the mainline, like the United Church type of.
These
youth pastors,
youth ministers.
The one guy with like the buck teeth.
Isn't Jesus great, guys?
Jesus
guys,
loves
we're all
you, no
gonna
matter
get up
who you
together
are.
right now, all right? I'm gonna have you guys get your hands up, all right? They're still playing the same fucking.
There was this one guy that tried to
15 minutes trying to get people to stand, and then they're like, "All right, let's talk."
This one guy this youth minister is trying to say like Jesus was racist because of this one passage. It's.
That's hilarious. He probably was. What the fuck is ancient people? Those shit. You think if you brought a black guy from Africa,
the best thing was
and just put him in front of him, you wouldn't be like, "What the fuck? Where'd you get this dude?"
But the best part is if you actually read the passage, like the next paragraph, the next I forget the exact number, but if you read the paragraph over, it's making a point other than specifically denoting this one people's race, and it's like totally omitted just for like to make a viral.
They always do
TikTok.
the same thing.
They always do the same.
Like remember the shanties? Remember the shanties one that triggered so many people? It's like the shanties came out, right? And everyone's like, "Man, I love shanties. This is so sick and Lindy and trad and based, right?" And then some Redditor guy with the glasses and the hair and everything, right, comes out. He's like, "Hey, y'all, did you know that actually shanties are black? Well, slaves were the first people to sing." Like, I'm like, he's like, white people heard slaves singing while they worked, and then they created shanties out of that because.
We all know that music didn't exist before black.
Exactly,
they were covering those songs.
They were faithful covers. It just became. It's like this weird need to. I think that Adam ruins everything. You know that show?
Oh,
it's kind of like that mentality. You know what I mean? It's
like, now that we're talking about it, you can trace this lineage back to. Fuck you, dude.
Fuck you, dude. It's because the best part is that they actually, in this way of like, I'm about to pontificate, I'm about to fucking lay the knowledge down, and then you go and look into what they said, right? You go and look into the actual topic, and they're just bullshitting. They're just bullshit. They're just like omitting, or they're just like using one particular thing.
It's like that Adam versus Adam versus the man TikTok, where Not Adam versus the man. Not fucking Adam Kokesh. Fuck. Not the libertarian guy. I'm talking about Adam ruins everything. Well, they're both pretty soyish, but no, I mean, Adam ruins everything. Where he was, I can't believe I fucking. Does anyone remember that show, Adam versus the Man? Does anyone remember
that? Was such an odd callback, and I was like, why do I get that?
I got confused. Adam versus Adam. I did it again. Adam ruins everything. The recent one on TikTok where he, where he's saying that like, oh, did you know that sex addiction isn't real?
Oh, the sex addiction
The
one?
porn addiction isn't real, just like all these fundamentalist Christians. But in actuality, because his argument was that he was saying like, oh, it's not in the DSM-5, therefore it's not real.
Oh, that's
it's
my
not
fucking
mental
favorite
illness.
thing in the world. Is because it's not in the mental illness book, therefore is not a mental. It's like the most self-referential, retarded, stupid way of thinking. Oh, look, well,
all of psychiatry is like that.
If we didn't, literally, that's why I hate it. It's this stupid thing where it's like, well, you know, if it's not in the book that I wrote, then it doesn't count.
No,
now,
but the difference.
But
the thing is, he's even wrong about that. He's even wrong about that because when you actually look at the DSM-5, as people were pointing out in the replies, when you actually look, they don't specifically say, like, they don't say like sex addiction or porn addiction, but they do list paraphilias that are related to the stimuli driven from pornography. That is labeled an addiction.
Pathologically masturbating, not a mental problem. Like that doesn't make any.
But because of the technicality, then they're like, well, actually,
it's the classic. It's the classic thing. Everything is actualities. Everything is little technicalities. That technically that makes it so that it's not. You know what I mean? It's the stupidest thing ever. It's never built on anything that's like real. It's just trying to gotcha people that you don't like. That's really, really what it is. That's what the Adam ruins everything was about. It was about just like disrupting like preconceived notions that they think middle class white Americans have.
Middle class white women, let's be specific.
Little suburbs are racist. Yeah, okay.
By the way, I wonder what Adam Kokesh is doing. Is he still taking DMT and talking about 3D printers? I wonder if he's still doing that. Probably.
Well, now we want to combine the two Adams together into one.
Did you guys hear about that bodybuilder guy who started doing DMT and then he like had a complete like disassociative
Joe Rogan?
No, not Joe Rogan. Not Joe Rogan. No, he started like, I'm pretty sure last time I saw, he was drinking another man's semen as a test booster.
What? Chris
like
Chan's
on
bodybuilding
YouTube.
now?
No, on YouTube. This is the thing. I can't remember what his name is, but he used to do these videos. If I'm remembering correctly, who this is.
Oh, please, not Elliot Hulse, because Elliot Hulse is based.
He would do these videos where he would go into like a Planet Fitness or some normal place, right? And like he's super jacked and he's very good looking. He's like he's a Chad, right? So he'd walk in and he would just like basically just show off physically in front of dudes' girlfriends at them and stuff and just mock them. And the videos were funny. But if I remember correctly, this is the same guy, and he's like had like a whole like disillusioning DMT thing. And you know what, man?
Is that the guy? Bastian?
I don't think so.
Dorian Yates? No, that guy's too old to be. Yeah. That, like literally I typed in bodybuilder DMT in the first clip. It came like Joe Rogan clips. That was the first.
Yeah. If you put DMT, it's just gonna be Rogan every single time. Literally, it's just if you write chimp or DMT, you're just gonna get Joe Rogan.
And to bring it full circle, by the way, Joe Rogan had Adam Ruins Everything on his show.
Yeah, that was a terrible
ruined
episode.
him. And he ruined him. It was amazing. I'm pretty sure that guy never recovered from that. And if you can get owned like that by Joe. Holy
that's pretty
moly.
Terrible. That's pretty.
I've seen 3 people that I can remember in the
Dave Rubin.
past.
Dave Rubin was one of them.
Dave Rubin. Yeah, but first it was Candace Owens, right? Where he was like, "Wait a second, this girl's just full of shit. Like she's literally just the Myers-Briggs thing with all the meme answers where it's like one is called if I don't stop talking, they won't notice that I'm not saying anything. That's like maybe if I don't stop talking, they won't notice that I'm not saying anything. That's Candace Owens. She's just
Yep.
she's just going. It's
It was
just
like
words.
Obama speeches back in the day. They were kind of like that.
Well, it's
Yeah, but at least
interesting.
there's like
Well, or
they're written.
I don't know.
It's
I mean,
interesting,
Trump
though,
did
that-
have a tendency to do that too. He
In
would-
the,
We
in
do
the
a
Joe
little
Rogan-
trolling. It's called We Do a Little Trolling. It's
Yeah,
one of
but
my
the
favorite
difference is
lines
that
ever.
Candace Owens, the difference is that Candace Owens is billed as like literally the most intelligent human being. That's she's like Ben Shapiro but female. Like that's how they build
Well,
this
and
woman.
she seems to have some kind of a deal with Ruben because he was flaunting
For
her on
sure,
Joe Rogan's
dude.
show. He was saying how
filleting
she
her
was much more responsible for the black community going behind Trump than Kanye
than
West
Kanye
was.
West.
That's bullshit, right? That
And
Yeah,
he
I
was
can
like,
tell
I'm pretty sure she could
100%
be
that's
president.
bullshit.
She could run for Congress. And Rogan's sitting there after having interviewed her, just being like, "Bro, what the? Are
No,
you
it's because
serious?
I think
You
I forget
actually
who
think
said
this
this.
shit?"
That they said like Candace Owens, like she's not viewed as like a quote unquote black woman by the black community, so therefore it's like they don't like Kanye is much more ingrained within black culture in America than Candace Owens will ever be. So it's like
It is
the sort
it
of
is the
deference
most-
that a huge population of black
It's like
people
saying that
gave to
Candace
Trump.
Owens has more reach than like. I can't.
But she's
Literally
not- but
any
that's what
black
I mean, she's
celebrity
not-
is more important.
I don't mean to be mean, but she's not the target audience of people that are in that. She is more so for like
Yeah.
the normie con punditry TM to
But
She's for America first.
By
Yeah.
the way, speaking of the black
T-
community,
TPS,
we're gonna have
yeah.
a Hotep Sophia coming in this Friday
that's
to
gonna be
talk about
spicy.
Oh,
the Little
shit.
Nas satanic
Oh,
shoes.
Lil
Oh my
Nas
God.
X.
And I put in him from the Powerpuff Girls. We were talking about the Powerpuff Girls movie today.
Didn't
put it
Lil
in-
Nas get into a thing with Candace Owens recently, or was it someone else? Or no, or
No,
was
it
it
was
Laura
Caitlyn
Loomer?
Bennett. It was Bennett.
Caitlyn
the
Bennett,
girl-
yeah.
The girl who shit her
What's
pants. The girl who shit her
Man,
pants.
I gotta tell you, that meme
Hilarious,
really
man.
did work. I don't know if it's her, but you know the one that I mean with the lying on the floor and all that.
Where
like,
she shit
yeah.
in her pants. Shit her
Yeah,
pants.
like,
Yeah.
it just
Well,
because
automatically
it's-
goes into the brain
Because
now.
it's the funniest thing ever. Like it's you can't beat good
Shitting
old
your
scatological humor. Like that wins it doesn't matter what
It's like when
anyone
Kurt
does.
Doolittle
If you-
pissed his pants,
if
and
you
that was the
shit
end
your
of
pants-
proprietarianism right there.
If you if you shit your pants, it's over. It's over.
Is there
No one
videos
is
of
ever
this?
going to listen. If Donald Trump shat his pants he would never have had like MAGA would die that day. There's no way that you can recover from a pants shit. It's just too much.
But wait,
too
what?
much.
So is this a video? Like
No,
I
it's a
never
photo. No,
it's
actually
just a-
watched it.
It's literally just a still image of her. It's you don't know if it's her. It's literally just a girl who has hair like hers laying on the ground. Is it a bathroom? Laying on the ground of a bathroom, and
But
I guess
but
she's
is
wearing
it
a
her
skirt.
though, or is it just
don't
a
know.
meme?
I don't know.
Like I don't
I don't know if it's
understand.
actually her.
I so desperately, it was like you said a few podcasts ago, where you're like, it might not be true, but it might
But
as
it
well
might
be
as
true.
well be.
It
Yeah.
needs to
That's
be
how I
true.
feel
It's
about the
better if
Caitlyn
it's
Bennett
true.
shitting picture. I'm like, it
man.
might
Yeah.
as well be true.
It's also because Gio, you haven't seen it. Like, dude, it's like a
Oh, I'm looking
It's like,
at it right now.
yeah, yo, that's a fat log, dog. Like that's not just she didn't just shit her pants. It's like a monumentally powerful, you know. Yeah, that's retarded, but I'll believe it.
Yes.
Or that's bullshit, but I'll believe it.
And,
Yeah,
and by the
so-
way, daily reminder from Super Iron Bob, our great patron Super Iron Bob, always with the amazing super chats. I just want to take a moment to thank Super Iron Bob so much for always just being here for us. Super Iron Bob, thank you so much. You are the real MVP. And he says, never forget that Owens was trying to run a doxing website before she became a conservative.
Yeah, that's right. That's true.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
very true. And also, if you know where Candace Owens is from in America, it makes a lot of sense. Let's just put it that way. Like the way she is just like, oh, like she's from that place. Like she's just super Connecticut. Like it makes a lot of sense for her to be the way that she is. It's like, oh
we
my
gotta
god,
do a
just,
Connecticut stream one of these days.
just
We gotta
stop
figure out
talking.
what's going on with Connecticut.
ex-CIA and FBI and military
Yeah.
and military
There's
contractors
probably
all live around
yeah,
here.
that's probably Glowy Central right there.
It's super
Yeah.
is. You have no idea. Also, a lot of celebrities live around here.
Is
It's
that
just
why
very wealthy.
Kubrick, when Kubrick did Eyes Wide Shut, wasn't that whole mansion wasn't that in Connecticut? I remember. It
Yeah,
was like
I'm
her
fairly
upstate-
sure that it was either upstate New York or it was Greenwich, Connecticut, because Greenwich is that town, man. Greenwich is like super. It is literally, if the oligarchs were going to be anywhere, it would be in that area. Like the county is just very wealthy. Fairfield County in Connecticut is super wealthy. It's where a lot of
all the rich people from New York live there, don't they?
Yeah, basically that in upstate New York. But it's even like, I don't know, it's kind of like the house on the hill, like proverbially.
Yeah, Conscious Moss says Connecticut is cursed.
Yes, greatly so. Greatly so. Cursed
Yes.
with it's like Midas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything it touches turns to gold, and then as a result, it becomes hollow. That's Connecticut.
Well, you know what you can touch that'll turn to gold? The subscribe button on this website.
Absolutely.
Subscribe right fucking now. Do it.
For real.
Do it. Everybody
And
who's
Leb's
watching
NFTs.
this.
Give him some
buy
money.
my NFTs.
Don't just
Exactly.
subscribe. Give him
Invest
some
in
money.
love.
Please,
Invest
give
in
him
love.
some money.
And okay,
Invest
here's
in
what's
love.
going down. Okay, guys, here's what's going down. I'm not gonna do the art stream right now. I'm too damn hungry. I gotta go eat. I gotta go
Yeah,
rest
me
up.
too.
This was just like a mind warp. Like we were talking about the warp. This was a mind warp, but in a very good way. I really appreciate Remus talking about this amazing lore. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm saving the stream for Thursday. Because Thursday, you know, Thursday, people expect Thursday things to happen. And this Thursday, we're not going to have BTR, but we are going to have me drawing, painting my next NFT. All of you guys are welcome to come in. I would love to have you there. And then Free For All Friday. Free For All Friday is happening on Friday, obviously. And we're going to be talking about Lil Nas. We're going to be talking about Satanism, all that fun stuff, as well as anything else that's topical. We're not going to talk about that fucking ship anymore. That ship has sailed, you know, the Evergreen. I actually had a business card in my pocket.
I can't believe you
from
just
somebody.
said that.
Yes, I had a business card in my pocket from somebody who works at Evergreen. I had it for a long time, and I thought about maybe bringing him on the show, but now that ship has sailed, so we can't do that anymore. Anyway,
I gotta talk to Brett Weinstein. Bring him on, dude.
Yes,
the king of the intellectual dark web.
So.
Oh man, I'd
okay,
fucking
so
ruin
Thursday.
him. I'd fucking. I'd bust those cheeks so hard. Oh, no,
man.
I mean intellectually, I'd bust his mind cheeks so hard he would never be the same again. Brett Weinstein, please come on the show, debate me. No. James Lindsay, please come on the show.
I sent
Please.
James a message. I wrote the reply in
I will
there.
fucking split his wig right here.
Don't
intellectually,
ignore us.
Intellectually split his wig.
Yeah.
So-
Heather Haying, come on as well. I just like her.
Yes.
She's cool.
Thursday, I'm doing the drawing stream, the art stream, and Friday, Free For All Friday, then the Pokemon stream right after Free For All Friday. So I'm starting Free For All Friday earlier, 4 p.m., then I'm going to do some Pokemoning, and we're going to have a lot more great events coming up afterwards. Alex Kashuda, we have her, we have Oren McIntyre, he's coming in soon. So we have a lot, real Xi Jinping. Oh, that's our next guest. So Tuesday, April 6th, that is real Xi Jinping. He's coming in. That's right, we have the Emperor of China himself, and then we're going to have Uber Boyo, he is coming in on Tuesday, April 13th. Then Oren McIntyre, Thursday, April 15th. Then we're going to have a big-ass event with Logo Daedalus, Alexander Bard. Let's see. We're, Paul, is it Paul Town? Or Paul Talk?
Yes, Paul Town.
Paul Town.
I always get confused with Paul Town and Paul Talk too.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And Joel Davis. And so there we go. And
the small follower coming?
Yes, small follower. Yes, we're gonna have a small follower there. And then we are.
That's gonna be a total fucking. That's gonna be an apocalyptic
Yes.
stream right there.
Yes, we better have this.
that's
We better have the
literally the end of
psychedelic
history.
stream on Thursday, April 22. But I'm gonna get in contact with Daniel Pinchbeck. Daniel, what's going on, man? Anyway.
Yeah, what about on 420? What are we doing? Are we doing a Hitler stream for 420?
Oh man, I completely forgot about. Well, no, 420. That is Logo Bard. That is
wow,
Daedalus
that's-
Alexander Bard stream.
Okay, we
Everybody's
are
gonna
having
have
a
to
Hitler
get.
stream.
Yeah, get
Yeah,
ready for that
yeah.
shit. Okay. And, you know, more streams coming up after that. A lot of different topics to cover, as always, with BTR. Don't forget to, and here, I am just going to plug everybody right now. So, Giant Geo on YouTube. That is where you go. Let me just...
Well, Giant
bring it up.
Productions on YouTube. Giant Geo on
Oh, yeah,
Twitter.
yes, thank you.
Mhm.
Giant, let me just grab it over here. The YouTube link. I have so many tabs open right now, but here it is. Geo's YouTube. Follow Geo. And Noah Hugbox. Noah's Hug Box, as I like to call it.
I might
I'm
rebrand to that, honestly.
I am so
Yeah.
excited.
The more you say it, the more I'm like, that sounds better.
Noah's Hug Box.
Yeah.
It does.
I mean,
It does have a ring.
A
to
ring
it.
to it, yeah.
I was like, when you first said it, I was like, how did I not think of that? I was
Noah's
like, how
Hug
did I
Box.
fuck that up?
Yeah, Noah. Yeah, even though there is a vowel
Lev
in
has
the
that power,
consonant,
man.
it's still yeah, I do have that power. I've got the
He's
mandate
just
of
like,
heaven.
hey, why didn't you just do this obvious thing? You're like, oh my god, I'm so.
Yeah, I was like,
Wait,
oh shit.
We have
that
such
makes
a,
so much more sense.
we have a nice message from Princess Disarmonia. She says, "Hey, I checked some of the podcasts, and I just wanted to say I appreciate all the kind words during my little plug. Brightened up my day." So there we
Nice.
go.
You're the best.
So,
You're the best.
yes.
Hey,
You
were
are
we
the
gonna
best,
watch.
were we
literally.
gonna have the Christian stream or no? What happened? To
I'm
that?
working on it. I can't. Let me give me time. I gotta.
No,
work
with Geno Samuel. Are we gonna have Geno Samuel?
Yeah. I'm working on it. It's just it's not.
But if
gonna
we could
happen.
have
It
Christina
should
Chan as
involve
well,
Yes.
streams.
that'd be.
Listen,
that'd
that
be
would
something
take
else.
even more time and dedication to explain
Yeah.
than this. Let's be real.
Absolutely. And guys, follow me.
Christian is the only thing that I've actually been like, this is almost too much. Like, I don't even know how I can possibly fit
Yeah.
all of this in my mind.
I know
Even me.
most of the lore, but it's like every.
It's powerful, dude.
it's
I
powerful.
still have to catch up on the documentary, but I look
Me
forward
too.
to seeing what exactly is going
Well,
on
it's
there.
almost
I
done because
apologize for
now
cutting you off, Lev.
like Gino is like close to actual like current day. It's just like he's at the part right now where the election of Trump like totally broke her brain. So yeah, that's
Well, it's gonna reach true parody at one point, and then
Yeah,
it's
it'll
just
reach
become
true
Truman
parody.
show.
it'll just be a current
Just-
events show, a
it's
current
just a
events
stream.
documentary of Christian.
It's just true Truman Show, man. It's just a stream, somebody following him around. They're literally gang stalking as a fucking
like, but for real.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Okay,
Go on,
so
Lev.
here we go. So I am updating my art stream. It's going to be happening on Thursday, but here is the link to it right now. All of you people who are watching this right now, go here, subscribe to my YouTube, subscribe to the Left stream. Just like Gio has his programs that he does, now I'm going to have my independent programs that I do, and we are all going to collaborate, we're all going to coordinate, and we're all going to make something magic happen. So go to my Left stream, subscribe to that thing, watch my animations. I have a lot of animations that I did. Well, not a lot, but they are really good, trust me. Take a look at my
I
animations.
can vouch for that. I watched some of your animations after the last time I was on here, and I was like, God
Huge
damn, these are fucking
endorsement.
fire.
Dude, he's
I was
so
like, holy
good.
shit.
Thank you.
Huge endorsement.
Thank you so much. No, I really appreciate that, brother. So there we go. This is the... Oh, and Remus, of course. Follow the main man himself on Twitter over here. I'm loading it up right now.
40K lore.
Yes, A. Nathil, you are... there's no words. I mean, you knocked it out of the park today, brother. This
I
was
appreciate
this
it.
was amazing.
You know, I was worried. I asked Lev to do this multiple times because I was just like, listen, man, you don't understand. Once I explain this to
You
you,
don't
you will
understand.
start to get it. You will
Don't
start to get
understand.
why
It's
I
like
keep
that.
bringing
It's
this
like
up.
that meme with the polar bear. If you know the one I'm talking about, you don't understand. I mean, there's a gamer word in there, but you know what I'm talking about, right? That meme with the polar bear.
I know what you're talking about. But
That is the
it's-
same
it's-
energy that I'm getting from
it-
this.
I was struggling with how I was going to put this together and how I was going to try to condense all of this information into such a short period of time. Even though it's not a short period of time, it is for this, right? And
Yeah.
I think there's potential to have multiple streams sort of talking about this kind of thing, and even just doing a full like Xenos stream just for Lev, so he can find out about all the sick alien babes that he could
Oh, God.
he can check out. You know what I mean? No, it's
Yeah.
it's important. But I really, really appreciate Lev sort of giving me the opportunity to wax poetic on this, and I appreciate Noah coming out, dude.
Of course.
You're the other fan. I feel you. It's a kind of thing that I want more people to know about, but at the same time, I want less people to be able to influence. You know what I'm saying? So
Exactly.
it's a
Yep.
double-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword. But
No,
I
Remus,
greatly
that was
appreciate-
fucking incredible. Your knowledge is amazing. The way that you fucking spilled that shit, I was like, holy hell, this guy should have a lore channel. Like,
It's
goddamn.
about. I've been thinking about it, but there's so many people doing it, and they're doing it there's so many people doing it well and doing it poorly that there's enough options, and I feel like those things are good. I will for sure be doing something involving this, and launching some sort of YouTube channel type thing maybe some sort of podcast type thing. But it's a type of thing that if you understand it well enough and you know how to convey the real important aspects of it, this is something that is compelling to literally anyone.
Absolutely.
There's something in it for everybody, whether you want to, the mindless massive tyrannids, you want to be people, you want to be dumb orcs, you want to be, skeletons from the abyss of space. You can be all those things, and you can figure out which ones appeal to you most, and sort of see what that says about you and what that says about the world that you live in. And it's a tabletop game, and that's true. But these things can always inspire us, I think, in a way that's more profound and can teach us a little bit about ourselves. So that's it. Thank you, Led, for letting me and
it's also a huge endorsement of fascism, so that's also good.
It is as well. Based and red pill.
It's based in red pill.
It is pretty
based in emperor
Guys,
pill.
We are at
It's based in RX pilled.
We are at 3,192 subscribers. Let's get this baby up to 3,200. What do you say? Come on, subscribe right now. Subscribe right now. Get the subscriptions up. We can do this. We can do this. We can do this. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We are going to go now. Free for All Friday, and Thursday is going to be my art stream, and Free for All Friday is followed by the Pokemon live play that I'm going to be doing with whoever wants to go wax poetic Pokemon with me. Everybody is welcome to come there. Noah, I would love for you to come. Geo, everybody.
Of course.
Masked Bastard. Guys, mwah, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.